hosted on the lands of the Mississaugas, of the Anishinaabe, of the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, and the Wendat. We also recognize the enduring presence of all First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples. Thank you. Also like to remind everybody of Piac's Code of Conduct, that we are here in a respectful environment to listen, to engage, and to make decisions, and to be respectful of everybody's voices. As well, I'm going to share the meeting norms with us. During the question comment period by Piac members, the following will occur. Rounds of questions, comments will occur to allow all Piac members to have an opportunity to ask questions, comment at least once. Piac members are expected to keep their questions, comments as concise as possible to ensure all Piac members have an opportunity to speak. Co-chairs will close questions, comments, periods to ensure the meeting agenda is adhered to and indicate that questions, comments that are pending at the close of the question, comment period be put to the chat or emailed to info@torontopiac.com to be recorded as part of the minutes. For Piac motions that do not involve amending bylaws, change to meeting procedures, or budget allocation, which are moved and seconded, the following steps will occur. The Piac co-chair will ask if any Piac members wish for a recorded vote. If 3 or more Piac members request a recorded vote, then a recorded vote will occur. For example, following the roll call voting procedure of calling all wards one at a time for their vote. If less than 3 Piac members request a recorded vote, the motion is considered passed by consensus. And just for reference throughout the meeting, what I just shared, I actually was reading from our agenda, and you will find that on page 3 and page 4, so you have that for reference. As well, you'll notice that I'm physically here in person tonight. My co-chair is here, Sharon Grant, although she is online. I believe she will be doing her best to physically be present, but I'm not sure at this moment, but we're being optimistic. But again, Sharon is here, so you do have 2 co-chairs tonight. It's just one is physically in person and one is virtual. As well, I'd like to ask right now if there are any conflicts of interest and if anyone could declare those right now. Hearing none. As well, I'd like to ask right now if there's to declare any change in membership status. Example, a child is no longer a student of the TDSB. That's an example of one. Do you see anything online, Michelle, at all? Of any conflict of interest or change in membership status?
Sorry, Chair, I'm just getting in. I see no hands, Chair.
Thank you. And now the approval of the consent agenda, which would be the agenda for this evening, as well as the minutes from February 20th, as a request to have amendments made, as well as the minutes from April 30th, the meeting minutes. Andrew?
The minutes of the last meeting, again, do not have me as an attendee.
I apologize, pardon, sorry, just say again?
The meeting minutes from the last meeting, again, don't have me attending the meeting, but I was present.
Okay.
Just the same as the previous meeting, okay?
Thank you,
So
Andrew.
I don't know what's going on there.
Noted. Michelle, could we have, thank you very much. Thank you, Andrew. So we're not going to vote on those and pass those until they're amended. So thank you, Andrew. We'll take that to our September meeting. And
Through you, Chair, there's a hand online. Ward 10.
Ward 10, go ahead.
Yes, Bruce Oilo, Ward 10. Very similar thing where I'm not noted as an attendance on the minutes, February minutes. There are also members who are not in attendance who are on the minutes. So I think that needs to be looked into as well.
Through you, Chair, would he just note who is not noted in the wrong place?
So I'm not noted as well on the February minutes. I was in attendance. I'm not noted there. There are members who are noted being there who were not in attendance at last meeting or February, since these two minutes are on the table.
Okay, I'm confused. All right, through you, Chair, if I may ask, if the membership, if you've noted the attendance, Bruce had suggested that your name is in the wrong place. Please just drop me an email. Thank you. I actually thought that's what I pulled from. Okay. My apologies, Chair. I will go back to the attendance list that we took at last meeting and then take a look at it again.
Thank you, Michelle. And our minutes, sorry, our agenda for this evening, could I get a motion on that? For the minutes, for the agenda this evening. A motion for a motion. Thank you, Janice. Okay, we're good. Yeah. Oh,
Through you, Chair, I just didn't get the seconder.
sorry.
Someone motioned the agenda. Who
Yes.
seconded?
Can I get a
Or
second?
15.
for that?
will second.
Yusuf?
Youssef, yes.
Thank
Yeah,
you,
or
Yusuf.
15.
Can I just ask everyone to make sure their speakers on their laptops are muted? We're getting a bit of an echo.
It's happening with me as well. Just give me a second. I'm hearing, and I'm on mute. I'm muted. You're hearing it though. Yeah.
Okay, are we okay now? Okay. Okay. And moving on to the co-chair update. So you do have the update. It was sent out. I'm going to keep it really short because I know we have a very busy agenda ahead of us this evening. What you'll notice in there is one of the things is the letter to the Ministry of Education. So that will be sent out this month, and we will notify membership when that has been sent. And that, of course, was to request the update to the school council handbook. As well, I know Sharon's online, but to share that we would like to thank everybody this year for all the hard work, the dedication, and the commitment to the work of Piac, to the work in your wards and your own school councils. Without all of that effort, without all of that engagement, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. So that is greatly appreciated. And for any members that are doing some work over the summer, again, thank you so much. And we're going to continue. If anyone has any questions about the co-chair report, feel free to ask. Keeping in mind that tonight, because I'm physically here, I'm going to be doing my best to catch all hands in the room, and I'm going to be asking Michelle and possibly Janice to let me know if I have any hands up online. So I appreciate everybody's patience. The other item actually that's in the co-chair report is that Sharon and myself did attend the governance and policy meeting, and that was on the 29th of May, and we presented the motion that was regarding the fundraising policy. And the trustees were asking questions. We did respond to those questions, and it was unanimously passed. We recommended to staff, so looking forward to that staff report that will come to us. I believe it may not come by the end of this school year. I think it is September, but staff can confirm that. And normally our trustee, Mateus de Vitas, would be sitting up with me over here. I imagine he may be online, but I would need confirmation if he is online. Perfect. Good evening, Trustee de Vitas. Thank you for being here tonight.
Hi, thank you for having me. Sent out the report today and it was shared by email. 3 items on it. I wanted to share that as I committed at the last meeting, I shared the motion from Piac around fundraising and the fundraising policy, share that with my colleagues. it generated a really long conversation at the board for those who had a chance to see that. The board voted to refer the request from Piac to staff as part of the policy overview. And so that was approved as much as it took a lot of back and forth to get to that. Also wanted to let people know, of course, I sit on the budget committee. For those of you that are interested, I think we should be, because at this point we face a deficit. The budget process is still ongoing. We still do not have the resources to pass a budget at this point without having to get into scenarios where we're making cuts, and we're still trying to work on those conversations with the province. But at this point, we have a $35 million deficit. So the next FPEC meeting is on the 13th, and then the board will be making decisions on the 19th. And maybe that some dates are added there to make the conversations easier for the public and the debate easier for us to manage. But those are the dates that are on the calendar as of now. And of course, it's very sad to communicate something that I'm sure most of you may have seen already, but we received the resignation from the director not that long ago. And a number of people, as a matter of fact, mentioned sort of having first interacted with her at Piac when she was superintendent in the system. And we're going to initiate the process of replacing her, or trying to replace her, and very soon thereafter. I'm happy to take questions if there are any, but that's my report.
Michelle, do we have any questions in the chat or online?
Through you, Chair, I do not see any hands.
Seeing none, Trustee DeVies, thank you so much for your report. As well, thank you this year for being with us on our journey for these wonderful meetings. And thank you for your commitment and your input and your engagement with us. We hope to have you with us here next year. I know you'll be a trustee, but I mean on Piac. Thanks. Moving on to the senior staff follow-up, we have Executive Superintendent Dr. Utan Robinson and Executive Superintendent Shirley Chan.
Thank you very much. Through the chair, my colleague, Executive Superintendent Shirley Chan, is currently at another function, but hopefully she will be able to join us soon. She's at the Excellence Awards that's also happening at this same time. I do want to introduce Peter Singh, who is online, Executive Officer of IT and IM Services. And I don't know whether or not he's also has Kevin Bradbury here, the Senior Manager of Business Operations. But I'd like to turn it over to them to respond to the first item that deals with school council emails and feedback for September 2024. So with that, Chair, I'd like to turn it over to Peter Singh.
Good evening, Piac members, and thank you, Executive Officer Superintendent Utan Robinson. I just pinged Kevin that we are going live right now on the agenda. Hopefully he hops on. Let me just pull the material. He had it ready to go. I just want to say thank you for us being on the agenda early this evening.
I'm going to make him co-host just in case. So that's happened. Please go ahead, Peter, if you'd like to share.
No, thank you. I'm just still waiting for Kevin. Just give him a minute or so if he's able to hop on. And then otherwise I'll share the materials. sorry, Piac members, I'm trying to find his last info he shared with me. Ethan, are we able to move to the next item if you have it? I just need to pull that material he had posted online. If you have other items, could you go through those ones and we'll circle back to the items we're about to share? Or I see Kevin hopping on right now.
Okay. Through the chair. Thank you.
Kevin, we are good to go. I don't know if you have the material ready to go on your side.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, I just need sharing to be enabled.
Just trying to find you, Kevin. Just give me a moment. Please go ahead, Kevin.
Just checking to make sure we can see the slides okay.
Yes, Kevin, we can share the slides. I'll quickly introduce the content itself. What you're going to be seeing in the material we're about to share is the things you have communicated to us, some of the challenges and the past experiences. So the team went to work to look at it, saying what else can we do? And how can we actually knock down some of the barriers Piac members have told us are hindering the adoption of the environment that's been out there. Some of the members have been able to leverage whatever we have set up before, but a lot of them have been struggling with what has been in place. So the thinking in these slides is all about knocking down those barriers and making things simple and hopefully provide better support, timely support, so we can actually resolve the issues if the Piac members run into those. With that, I'll flip it over to Kevin if you can take us through the plans. Thank you.
Sure. Thanks, Peter. Good evening, everyone. So apologies for the date on here. We were originally scheduled to share this information on April 30th, but the content is the same. So we have about 5 slides to share with you tonight. So just in terms of context, what we heard through the Piac committee and through Michelle and her team was that school council chairs and co-chairs have had difficulty accessing both the individual and then the shared school council email accounts. And the way they are set up today, you have to access the individual one first in order to then access the shared one. They have also indicated that there have been they've experienced difficulty accessing technical support for things like accounts, passwords, information, etc. And then the last thing we heard was that there have been reports of delays in names being submitted in order to get these accounts created initially earlier in the school year. So that's the information that we took away as an IT team to try to come up with some solutions to each of these items that I've mentioned. So in terms of our progress to date, a dedicated phone number has been established for school council chairs and co-chairs that you see up on the screen, 416-396-9100. That is only for school council chairs and co-chairs. It is not for parents as a whole. It's not for staff. It is only for that particular purpose. Schools are able to submit tickets to our client service desk. If there is a principal, vice principal, office administrator who has a chair or co-chair who's experiencing trouble with their password, for example, they can also reach out to help support the individual. Another change we've made this school year is that the submission of names is now being collected by the Learning Center superintendents, administrative assistants, as opposed to the principals across our 584 schools all doing it individually through Service IT, which is our service portal where all of our tickets are received. So that is intended to try to streamline the process, and then the individual executive superintendent's assistants will know which schools they maybe need to follow up with to receive the information. And then they have a direct path to submit that information to start getting those accounts processed. So in terms of proposed actions, so this is looking towards next school year to solve some of the issues that were shared with us. What we are proposing is that we provide a school council email account only. So for example, Woburn Collegiate School Council, one mailbox. If it is a situation with a chair and a co-chair, they would share that mailbox. Instead of today, point number 2 here, having both the individual, so the named account, so in my case, Kevin.Bradbeer at TDSB, and then also Woburn Collegiate. So first I'd have to log into Kevin Bradbeer in order to then log into Woburn. We would do away with the individual so that there was only be one account to log into, the school council mailbox. And then the intention of this is simply to try to make things easier and simpler in terms of access. So one mailbox to log into. It would be shared if there were 2 co-chairs, and you could work with email signatures to say, this is coming from Kevin, this is coming from Peter, for example. But that's one of the solutions that we are proposing this evening. I also wanted to share that we are proposing to consolidate 2 things. To consolidate the support for the chairs and co-chairs, so resources, help guides, etc. But also to create one stop where they would go to log in. So similar to how we have on the staff side, we have a page where staff go and they can select the tool or service they wish to log into. We would create something similar for the school council chairs and co-chairs. So for example, the email account we just spoke about, Microsoft Teams account to log in if you needed to do video conferencing. So we could create that list of login services and make it kind of a one-stop shop to both promote the resources that are available and also to make it easier to find the tool that you're trying to utilize. And that is all that we brought to share this evening. Happy to answer any questions that you may have, clarify anything that might require that, and to hear whatever feedback there may be on these suggestions.
Not seeing any questions in the room, and there are none online. Thank you very much.
Sorry, I had my hand up.
I apologize. Sorry about that.
Sorry, no worries. I know you're shorthanded today. Just a quick question. So is this hotline open to Piac members as well? And the password reset procedure as well? That was just shown on the screen?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Is that effective like immediately, or do we need to wait?
No, that's correct. No, it's available today.
Okay, thank you.
And was that Bruce's hand I saw?
Yes, a quick question. So this is a great idea. Will those emails be viewable? Will there be an archive for the incoming co-chairs to see what's been going on with the school councils beforehand? Is that an option that we would vote on, or is that something we would set up?
Generally, what we would do with the content in the mailbox is preserve it year to year, so that the let's say a new chair is coming in, previous one has stepped away. There's some history and context there for the incoming chair to see. Oh, last year we sent these messages at this time of year, etc. So the content, it can be wiped annually if that's the desire of the group, but it can also be preserved and made available to the incoming new chair and or co-chair.
I have Andrew in the room. Go ahead, Andrew.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, no, I think that this is, some progress. My preference would be at the not to wipe it, to keep the historicals. I think also, I know, I don't know this was captured. There had been issues around like the resetting of the accounts. And so just like making sure that's taken in consideration. Again, school councils, the co-chairs and those individuals remain co-chairs up until the new council forms, which can be like up until the end of October, which is kind of how the communication that's sent out by the PCCEO office. So just making sure that those resets are occurring, because in September it's a very valuable time for co-chairs to try to engage with parents and get the next council moving or going or established. And then also just for Piac or for other committees, both statutory, that we have 2-year terms. So trying to avoid having resets, if we do have 2-year terms. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. Do we have any other questions online?
Through your chair, I see no other hands online.
Thank you. Thank you, Peter Singh and Kevin Bradbeer. Executive
Thank you,
Superintendent.
Piac members. Thanks for the opportunity to share this plan, and we will move ahead with what has been proposed. Thank you.
I apologize, Musa, go ahead.
Well, that's a late hand.
Thank you. No problem. Sorry, I'm in the building, but just running late. Anyways, the information that has been conveyed right now for the email address technical issues, is it possible for the principals to pass all this information, whatever has been modified? Can this be sent to the principals and have the principals hand it over to the new council chairs who are very new and they have got no clue where to go? Is that possible?
Peter, do you want me to answer that, or do you want to go
please,
ahead?
no, go ahead, Kevin. It's the same answer. Yeah, go
So
ahead.
yeah, so that's the process that we have today. That the account information was sent to the principals, and then they were the next piece of that path to get the information over to the co-chair. That proved to be problematic in some cases. There was a delay in the information going from the principal to the chair or co-chair. So when the information is collected, we collect a personal email address from, let's, for example, the new school council chair, and we send the account information to that personal email address. The school can, of course, help, but they're not the holder of the information any longer as we had before. So we're trying to streamline the account creation process and get it to the individual directly.
All right. Thank you.
Melanie, Ward 9.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I just want to say thank you so much to Kevin and Peter for attending the School Council Support Working Group meeting and hearing us out. And basically, I just want to say thank you because these are all great recommendations you put forward. And so I just want to thank you very much.
Thank you, Melanie.
Thank you, and back to the floor.
Thank you so much, Peter and Kevin, for that. Through the chair, I'm going to go on to the school calendar. As you could see, there is a written report summary that has been provided for you. At this point in time, should you choose to, we can have some questions specifically on that, or we can delay the questions until a later point within the agenda. The other item that's also there from senior team in terms of follow-up was reference to school councils and ensuring that principals are aware of the regulation 612 as well as any guidelines that are associated with working with school councils. And through our current system where we meet with let me be more specific, where principals, vice principals meet with their superintendent, we have directed them to take some time to share that information. Also through the support of Michelle, it's been shared with me that there is a one-pager, if you will, or a shorter document that is quite user-friendly that will also be provided to the principals so that, again, there's a better understanding of school councils and how they work. This is specifically too for both new principals, vice principals, as well as those that may from time to time need a refresher as a result of possibly taking on an acting role. They may even be a retired principal coming in. So we feel that this will help going forward. I yield to the chair. Those are the items from senior staff as a follow-up.
Thank you. We can take a few questions now, possibly. It's just we have to be careful and be considerate of our time. But are there any questions for our staff? In the room or online? Okay. Moving on. Thank you very much. Pardon? Oh, sorry, we have a question. Sarah.
Sarah, Ward 2. It was just a question that was brought up in the executive for Dr. Uton in regards to the senior staff for the status. It was the two follow-up questions. It was the follow-up for the plans for principal training of the PR 558, and also in regards to the resources, if you have any update.
Through the chair, in terms of 558, that's actually what I was also making reference to in terms of making sure that principals are given an opportunity to go through that. Most recently at one of our meetings, as we think about September, this was going to be added to the September package for principals, vice principals, so that they would become familiar with 558 as well as Regulation 612.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Executive Superintendent. Oh, sorry, I apologize, Andrew.
Thank you. I have a question related to, I know there was a written report on the school calendar. So the couple questions that I have is I reviewed the writing. Something I'm a little disappointed in, many of the points made are actually not dependent on whether it's a 5-day schedule, fixed 5-day schedule with a switching calendar versus the floating schedule that we currently have. So I do find that disappointing. But a couple of points that I have is, one of the points was some students find beginning and end of week to be more difficult for concentration or find conflict with weekend activities such as rotating classes, providing a variety. Is there like a survey or academic literature to support that statement?
Through the chair, there isn't, to my knowledge, any sort of a quantitative survey that would capture that. However, qualitatively, in terms of talking with staff as well as with students from time to time in terms of mental health and wanting to have good mental health, they talk about the fact that at the beginning of the year, coming after at the beginning of a week, coming after a weekend, that particular day is sometimes more challenging, as well as a Friday or the Thursday, if there's a PA day on the Friday, that too is a day where they're, again, more not as focused, if you will, than some other portions of the day. The comments that I've just made through the chair, however, are qualitative comments. We haven't had any specific survey in answer to the question posed.
And then further, I don't see that board staff, like I do see they reached out to the Elementary Teachers Association and they indicated that currently it's a violation of collective agreement. Again, that's because the clause related to prep time is very restrictive. But I know the Halton board currently uses the schedule, and there are some other boards in the province. Did TDSB staff reach out to the other boards to understand how they're able to address those concerns, including mental health, and actually implement a switching schedule?
Through the chair, our focus specifically was on what ETT has shared with us, and that's what we are following at this time. I will take it back to look into whether or not there are other boards that have a different perspective as it pertains to the calendar.
I would appreciate that. That was referenced in the documentation of the motion that did pass in February. So please determine or find out how other boards are able to do this schedule that actually would quite simplify things for a lot of people. Thank you.
Through the chair, if I could just comment lastly, we certainly can do that. The points, however, referenced within the report talks about specifically the benefits of the current day cycle. However, to the question posed, we certainly will look into what was asked. Thank you.
Thank you, Executive Superintendent Utan Robinson. Thank you. Moving on, there's actually two items which you haven't seen in the past on here that are actually given designated spots. One of them is to hear from Tawheed. He's from our Toronto Bangladeshi Parents Advisory Committee. Tawheed, are you there? Welcome.
I don't believe that Tawheed is here yet.
Okay, we will do our best to circle back to him. As well, we actually have a Piac member who attends the TDSB Parent Partnership Mental Health and Wellbeing Committee, and that would be Shelley. And her word escapes me at the moment. My apologies, Shelley, if you are online, because I just can't see the board in front of me. To give us an opportunity to share what you were able to learn from that committee that you think Piac would like to hear about.
I don't believe that Shelley is here either.
That's okay. We'll do our best at the end to see if we can get some words. Perfect. Oh, this is true. We're doing okay for time, folks. We'll be okay. Okay, so we're moving on to our working group reports. First, we're going to start with membership.
Thank you, Zena. Jenny and I are both here to deliver our update for the membership working group. So I will begin with our status and then I'll hand it over to Jenny. So currently we have, as sitting members, we have 40 Piac members and as well, 39 Piac members plus our Bangladeshi community rep. So that's 40 in total. So that makes our quorum for meetings at 17. So quorum is 40% of sitting members plus one. The number of members signed up for working groups is currently 26, and I'm pleased to announce actually that our number of community members has surpassed our Piac members, and community members that are at 28, and I think this is really due to the school council working group at getting out there and getting the school council chairs really engaged and excited about having a voice and being able to have their opinions heard. So the number of members who have completed the declaration of membership is 23, so we still need the rest of you to finish completing that. Currently, we have 5 Piac vacancies, so that's down from 7 from last month, and the number of members with expired terms are 10, and that has not changed from last month. I'm not aware of any upcoming Piac ward elections, and we don't have any further expiring terms for June. So I'm going to hand it over to Jenny, who will continue to give the update. Thank you.
Okay, hi everyone. I'm joining from online. So I just wanted to actually announce, speaking of new members, just to welcome Gordon Harvey and Andrew Waters to officially be reps for Ward 3. So congratulations, guys. And then, give me 1 second. I'm only going one monitor, so now I got to switch screens again. Okay. So I believe the next thing is graduating this year. So this will probably be her last meeting. Will be Sharon, because she's graduating out of Piac and TDSB. So I just want to say thanks to Sharon for all her work and guidance to everybody. And I think, is there anything else I'm forgetting?
I think we've covered everything, but we can pass it.
We have a written report, so it'll be sent, but everything is pretty much covered. But I just wanted to remind everybody, speaking of the declarations, that even if you do it for this year, after today, if you need a link again, let us know. But as of September, we will have to redo it because we have to do it once a year, school year. That's it for me. Thank you.
Thanks, Jenny. So we're going to pass it over to Zena so she can speak a little further about Sharon's graduation.
So historically, well, maybe just last year, we would have a graduation ceremony for our graduating members. This year, we're going to do it a little differently. We have acknowledged that Sharon will be graduating this year, but we are inviting our graduate back, like they would have back in the day in high schools, to a commencement ceremony, if you will, in September at our first Piac meeting. So thank you again, Sharon, for all your hard work, your dedication, and your commitment to Piac, and as well a large welcome to Gordon, as well as a welcome back to Andrew, although Andrew never left us, he was with us in support. So thank you very much for taking that step up again in your ward. And as well, sorry, and I apologize, I'm going to make it really short. I really appreciate all the work in the working groups. Great to hear that Piac members are signing up to do that important work, as well our community members coming out and supporting efforts and supporting the voice of parent and caregiver engagement. Now we're going to move on to our strategic planning working group. We have June and Mercy.
Hi, good evening,
Actually, sir, I have a question for membership.
I apologize, Andrew.
I seem to remember when co-chairs run for election, they make a declaration that they're available to complete their complete term. So I guess I'm confused.
Sorry, I don't understand your question. Can you say that again?
As part of our, both in the bylaws and in the operational procedures for our election, that co-chairs indicate they're available for the complete 2-year term. So I'm confused why the current co-chair is graduating at this moment. How was that not caught during our process?
She's not officially graduated until the end of the school year. So theoretically, I guess Sharon could join us for the first month of the next year, but then because her child will be graduated from the TDSB, she's no longer eligible to continue for that final month.
That's what I'm indicating, though. It was quite clear in the operation procedures that you had to be eligible to complete the term. So I'm just trying to understand where that, I guess, disconnection occurred.
I don't really think it's a disconnection, but you know, I invite anyone else to jump in and comment here. I think
I can just add, I think in regulation 612 that the Piac member can also finish off their term, and if there's nobody able to fill that seat, then they can also be proclaimed into that position too. If that's my understanding of regulation 612, if I'm not mistaken. I'm just driving right now, so I really can't go in and take a look at it, but I'm just going off of my memory.
I'm just going to ask Sharon, who's online, to take the chair for me. We can definitely take that back, Andrew, absolutely. To be honest, historically, unfortunately, at Piac, we've had chairs that don't complete their term at all for various reasons. I remember being all by myself for a number of months when a chair that could have technically finished their term had chosen to leave the chair. So, note taken. Thank you very much, Andrew. And if you'd like, after this meeting, we can take it offline. We can then share that information with membership as a whole. But thank you for bringing that to the attention. A chair may have every intention. I mean, in this case, it's a eligibility issue. And admittedly, that is one of those things where it would be odd if we had a member on Piac who didn't have a child in the board at the moment. But again, there are various reasons why a chair may actually have to leave. The last chair that left me, to be fair and honest, I guess maybe we should have done some more follow-up. So again, Andrew, if you don't mind, I will take it back. I will, and I can send an email out to all membership as to the status of our other co-chair.
Okay, that's fine. But I will just note that, during the election that occurred in the fall, that I was deemed ineligible to actually vote in that election. That was a decision of the membership, and they indicated the rules are the rules. So, I find this a little disappointing that it appears to be there are rules, but they apply to some and not to others. Thank you.
Absolutely, Andrew, I hear your point. And to that reason, I will take it back. And if you'd like, I can work with membership, go through the actual rules around the co-chair position. I myself don't remember making a declaration, to be honest. But I mean, again, I knew that, fair enough, my child was in the board and I'll be here for a few more years. But I appreciate your concern there, and we will take that back and we will get that back out to you. Thank you, Janice. Thank you, Andrew.
Dennis Hastings.
I apologize. I just can't, I don't know who's speaking.
Dennis Hastings.
Oh, sorry, I apologize. Trustee Hastings, sorry about that.
Okay. May I speak? I've been in a position such as that, and you are allowed to, if you go back and you check, you are allowed to continue out. If you signed up for 2 years and 1 year into the term, your kid's out of school, you're allowed to serve the balance of that term. I know because I've done it. Been there, done that.
Thank you, Trustee Hastings.
You're welcome.
So Zena, we have some questions online, and I think we can continue with Seema.
Seema, go ahead.
Hi, Seema here from Worthington. Just a quick question about the number of people who haven't signed up for a working group, Piac reps. Are they, I guess, membership, you guys have probably reached out to them already and urged them to join a working group? That's the question?
So you're asking if we reach out to the new members to join working groups?
Oh, no, not the new members, sorry, not the 26 who have signed up for working groups, but the groups, the number that hasn't?
Yes.
And has there been any sort of like traction, any sort of like changes, like they're not, possibility of them joining the working groups?
So we constantly encourage everyone to join the working groups, and Michelle sends out regular links to the working group sign up in the membership meeting links.
Okay, yep. All right, thank you. That was it, thanks.
And Bruce.
Yes, Bruce, Ward 10, co-rep. Also wondering, not only working groups signing up requirement, but attendance requirements at general meetings as well. How is that monitored and addressed? And I have a second question after this.
So how we address the attendance at the general meeting, monthly meetings, is we have a template that we go by, and once we decide that it's time to take action, as in if a member has missed 3 consecutive meetings with no regrets, then we contact them and ascertain whether or not they have any intentions of staying on Piac, or if we're unable to ascertain their intentions, or they for whatever reason they're disagreeable to leave, then we would have a vote to actually dismiss them if they're not attending.
Thank you for clarifying that. Second separate question in regards to representing a ward. If my understanding, the parent, guardian, or caregiver can represent the ward provided the child is in that ward. Is that correct?
I didn't hear the second part.
So the parent or caregiver or guardian is eligible to be the Piac rep or co-rep in a ward where their child goes to school. Is that not the rule, or is there other
I apologize.
rules that
Sounds like Michelle would
other
like
exceptions to that?
to respond to that question.
Through you, Chair, based on your bylaws, there's 3 eligibility criteria, of which members are maybe one of the 3. Your child lives in the ward, your child attends a school in the ward, or the parent and caregiver lives within the ward. If you meet one of the 3, then you're eligible to be a Piac rep for that particular ward.
And if none of those 3 eligibilities exist, then the person cannot be that rep there?
Through you, Chair, that is correct, Bruce. If the parent or caregiver doesn't meet one of those 3, then they're not eligible to be a Piac rep.
I see. Okay, thank you very much for the clarification.
In that case, my daughters will be going to university in September, and the younger one will be moving from Toronto to Scarborough. So it means will be not Ward 15. So it means I won't be eligible anymore from next session onwards, right?
Through you, Chair, I just need clarification. Who's speaking, and would you repeat the question?
This is Yusuf, Ward 15. My daughters will be moving from Ward 15 to somewhere in Scarborough, and the other one is going to the university. So let's take it by September. I'm not living in Ward 15 either. So neither I've been living in Ward 15, neither my daughter is attending Ward 15 school. So I should be ceased to be a Piac member for Ward 15, right?
Through you, Chair, just to ensure, seeking clarification, Yusuf. So if your child is graduating out of the TDSB school and you do not have another child in the Toronto District School Board, then you no longer meet the eligibility criteria to be a Piac member. However, if you have one child that is graduated out, but you do have another child that is attending a TDSB school and you're moving from your existing ward to a new ward, then you're eligible to be run to be a Piac rep in that new ward if you meet one of the 3 criterias. That you live in the ward, your child attends a school in the ward, or someone help with the third, it's gone. Or your child's in school
I got
in
it.
the ward.
Yeah, so it is from Ward 15,
your
I'll be
child
shifting
lives
to
in the
the
ward.
other ward.
Pardon me?
Because when my daughter shifts the school from Ward 15 to another one, so I will not be a member for Ward 15, but to the ward where my daughter goes. Is that what I understand?
You'd still be eligible to remain in your seat because your child is still a child of the TDSB. So
No,
as long as
point
your
of
kid is still in the
clarification,
TDSB, you
Chair,
can stay
just
where
to
you
be
are.
clear, if you no longer live in the ward, you no longer have a child attending a school in the ward, or your child doesn't live in that ward, then you're no longer eligible to be the Piac rep for that ward.
Exactly, I got it. So that's what I'm saying. From September onwards, I will not be representing Ward 15.
Correct. If you no longer meet either of those criteria in Ward 15, then you can no longer be the Ward 15 rep. However, you're eligible to be the rep in the new ward that meets those 3 criteria, or one of the 3 criteria.
Fine, good.
So are we hearing you say, Yusuf, that effective the fall, you will no longer be representing Ward 15?
True.
Okay, thank you for that.
Sorry, I need further clarification. Through the chair, may I speak?
Go ahead, Prince.
So given those 3 criteria that I've read and has been repeated tonight, my daughter is graduating this year. However, my son does live with his mother in another ward, but I reside in this ward. So according to the definitions, I still maintain my Piac co-rep status here in Ward 10. Is that correct?
Through your chair, based on the criteria, you meet one of the 3, and you're only required to meet one of the 3, Bruce. So you may remain sitting to complete your term as the Ward 10 rep. Did I answer your question, Bruce?
Yes, my thumb is up on screen. Thank you very much for
thank
the
you.
clarification. Much appreciated.
And now we have a question from Gordon. No question from Gordon.
Thank you, everyone, for your questions regarding membership. It made many things clear and asked a lot of questions, too, so thank you. Always good to ask questions. Moving on to strategic planning. June here. Oh, sorry, June's online? Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Good evening, everyone. So just a quick brief about the progress of strategic planning. So we are now on phase 2, working on still review all the old documentation to get the key information for filling out the RFQ. And we're still seeking the resources for external consultant, and as well as for seeking consultant information from the internal TDSB's internal vendor list. And we are reviewing the strategic goals for the next 4 or 5 year strategic planning. And also, since the co-leaders of strategic planning groups like Mercy and I, we are comparatively new to the committee. So other working group leaders are helping us trying to identify some of the key informations. So tonight, actually, Kadeen from Operational Effectiveness and Sarah, the co-leaders, and also other members, we have prepared a quick poll for all the attended reps, because this is the time that's most reps will join the meeting. So I think I will pass it to Murthy to see what will be the next step. Yeah, thank you, Mercy.
Through your chair, Kadeen, do you need access to share?
Michelle, the poll was sent to you by Kadeen, so we don't know how to start that on the Zoom.
Did it just come to me or just give me 1 second?
I think this morning, or yeah, I saw the email by Kadeen.
I'm sorry, can't hear you. Oh,
Apologies. Yeah, the questions were sent earlier today.
to me?
Yes.
Through you. I don't have it in my inbox.
Okay. Yeah, they were sent this morning with the request that they be set up in the Zoom so that it could be launched and all the online members could participate. But that means that we wouldn't be able to do it this way now. There is another virtual option. It would take me a little bit of time to get it set up and have the questions, and it would use a slightly different platform to do the anonymous kind of virtual interaction with those questions. So if we'd like to come back to this a little later, then we can still be able to collect that feedback. I'm just going to have to do it a different way. And really, this is meant to happen today so that we don't lose the opportunity to hear from the members at this last meeting for the evening. So please let me know what you think best.
I'm going to give my chair over to Sharon at the moment and make a suggestion. And that is, if it would help, when it comes to our agenda, we could either look at our timing for the working group reports and see if we can just, if the group is okay with that, to sort of put that in there and sort of squeeze it in, even if it's during, although it's not officially that exact time, but maybe even if you're willing to, during consultations, if there's a way to sort of squeeze that in. Possibly. I mean, sort of, I feel like it's almost in the same world of consulting and gathering information, but Would that be an option at all? Or is that too soon?
No, I know there are many other conversations to be had during the working group report, so it would buy
Okay,
some
no worries.
time.
Okay,
Yep.
just a thought.
No, I don't have it. But if you, so you sent me the questions for us to create an answer. But no- Kadeen? No, I have nothing from her. No.
So we're gonna try to see if we can still do the poll, but we need to like look for other options due to like access and everything. So if we could circle back to us in a bit.
So question actually, so for instance, while working group reports are going on, you're hoping you'll be able to launch that or post something in the chat? Is that?
Yeah, because we would need access on the Zoom, and right now I don't see that access to be able to launch a poll. So
Okay.
that's the issue.
So we'll be really patient, and when that's available, just, I guess, give a quick flag, and we'll let people know it's posted in there.
Yeah,
Yep, and it'd be really appreciated if all members online could look at that and get that feedback to our strategic planning working group. That'd be great, thanks.
That's good, thank you.
Seema from Ward 18 speaking. Recommendation for Kadeen and the rest of the operational effectiveness group, use Slido. And just in the meantime, and just get the poll up there. And then if you go in presenter mode, anyways, I'll message you guys directly.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
No problem.
Yes, Kitty.
Just a comment to Seema. Seema was going to use Mentimeter, which I think has the same functions as Slido. So
perfect.
Okay, great.
Teamwork makes the dream work. Okay, so strategic planning, is it okay if we move on to communications while this is taking place? Okay, so while that's taking place, if that's okay with strategic planning, we're moving on to communications. Seema.
Hi, everybody. We were going to submit a working group report and no verbal update for us, other than we did submit our RFQ for the content writer to handle the PDFs and make them AOTA compliant, as well as refresh some of our other documents and website text. And so we're looking forward to that. And that's it from us. Nicole, is there anything else I may have missed? I don't think so. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, communications. Moving on to the school council support working group. Sarah.
School Council Support Working Group, and I have also Melanie that's gonna read through the report and the motion that we submitted. Just wanna inform that in the executive meeting, as per the co-chair Sharon, we submitted the reports and all the documentation on the evening at the executive meeting, but we noticed that there's not printed out today, this evening, and PCCO office just sent the email at 7:46 p.m. With that said, there is another documentation for specifically with questions and questions from the members of the school council to be answered by PCCO office. So I will leave that when it comes to the item agenda on the report, which is item 7. And Melanie, you can go ahead if you can read the motion and the reports. Thanks.
Through you, Chair, before you go, if there's anyone in the room who needs a printout of the motion, it's on the desk. And just a response to the ward rep, I did not receive that communication. I was not at the exec meeting, and I was waiting for the report. I did not get the report. When I received the report is when I circulated the report. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, just to verify, the co-chairs were CC'd on the report, and it was handed out on the executive, and I forward the email again of the proof of when the full report and the motion was submitted. Thank you.
I got it, Sarah. If I did, would have posted.
Okay, hi again, everyone. I'm gonna just go through the report quickly first, just some updates, and then I'll go through the motions. So some updates, the school improvement plan goals. So as per the new TDSB MYSP, so there's new SIP goals that align with the Ministry of Education themes. So we're looking for an update to the TDSB parent SIP brochure. So virtual school councils, so they have no ward affiliation for virtual school. It is formerly represented at Piac.
Sorry, Melanie, can you speak up? We
Yes.
can't hear you.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, please. We can't hear you in here. Thanks.
Can you hear me better now?
A little bit more, if you can.
Okay, let me see. That's the loudest my computer will go. Can you hear me better now? Okay, virtual school councils. So there is no ward affiliation for virtual school. At our last meeting, Bruce had agreed to take that on. So thank you, Bruce. The School Council Innovation Grant. Sarah and I worked with Consultations Working Group to prepare feedback on eligibility and parameters. I will go through that in a minute. School Council survey. Thank you, Crystal. She, based on the 2016 School Council survey by the PCEO office, Crystal did put a survey together. We reviewed it at the survey questions at the working group, and we decided that we were gonna go ahead and launch it at the end of May. Also, Andrew is working on enhancing school council communications with a consultant. The requests for quote was prepared. Let me just go back to some next steps and action items. Okay, so follow up with the senior staff. Sarah asked Dr. Robinson the question and it was answered. We have some follow-up items still with the PCCEO. So will the SIP brochure be updated with the new MOE goals for fall of 2024? I didn't see that answered in your report, Michelle. The school council roundtable, will there be another meeting this school year? I did see it in your report that it'll be in June. Funding parameters for ward outreach, when will we know? I did not see that in your report either. Council email list, did reps get their ward lists? I also didn't see that one in your report. New member intake, when they join, do members give permission to share their emails / contact info within the committee? I don't think I saw that one as well. Are you able to answer any of these, Michelle?
Through you, Chair, absolutely. Let me know when you're through, Melanie. I'd be glad to do so.
Okay. Actually, you can do it now, and then I'll go through the motions.
So through you, Chair, in terms of the first bullet in the SIP brochure, yes, it will be updated with the new goals and ready to go for the new school year. We hope to have one more roundtable conversation with school councils. We wanted to just do the town hall first, get some stuff there, and then go back to the roundtable. Funding parameters for ward outreach, when will we know? I will provide that information to Piac. I have reached out to our finance staff to get some details around what that process would look like. But presently, right now, you know, the policy of the board and the procedure of the board is a reimbursement model. So what that looks like is the ward rep would go out and resource what they need, submit invoices to the district, and then district will reimburse. That is the actual policy and procedure of the district right now. What I've done is inquire with our funding staff if there are other ways we can do it. But right now, I will say to you, the procedure of the board is that the member would exert the funds and then submit your receipts, and then we'll reimburse you upon the submission of receipts. Council email list is get at their wards. Yes, we did distribute those out to ward reps. If you've not received it, let us know. My office staff had done in getting that information out. And as for the last bullet around new member intake, no, we do not see consent That's not been a practice where we seek consent from members to do that, but maybe that's something we can explore with membership and figure out whether that's a process we put in place that the moment a member joins, there's a consent given that their email addresses be shared with all reps.
Thank you,
Okay.
Michelle.
Thank
I
you.
see a hand from Musa.
Hi, Michelle. The ward reps, I know majority of them, they can fork it out from the pocket, buy what they want, and then submit the invoice or receipts later, right? But like I know other people or other co-reps that won't be able to do that. Like they are single parent, right? And if they want to do, but they don't have enough money to do that out of their own pocket. In that case, they will be at a greater disadvantage. So we need to find middle ground for that.
Through you, Chair, that is the ongoing dialogue. And as you know, it's the same dialogue happening at the local school council level, where school councils who are engaging in activities and events are required out of pocket to purchase, supply, and then get reimbursed. So this has been brought to the attention of our finance staff to explore. The only other route around it that I can think of right now is that any activity or purchase that's done is done through a board vendor, thereby my office will then be able to process it internally. So then there's no money that needs to be externally, because once you use the vendor, they will invoice us and then we will internally process the payment. That's one way around. We can circumvent the existing policy. But this is before, it's not just Piac who's bringing it before our finance staff. Multiple school council chairs and reps have brought it forward. And so I know it's sitting with our staff now in terms of, are there any other ways that we can look at how this is done, not just at the Piac level, but also at the school level?
Okay, thank you.
Michelle, Sarah?
So again, this is one of the reasons that is hindering school or parent engagement. As TDSB keeps talking about equity, inclusiveness, but yet we're having issue within the school council. As everybody knows, the barrier with food insecurity, with all the rent prices going up, and now you're putting on the pressure for parents to cough it up from their own pocket to already parents who have been volunteering. We're talking about Piac rep who are attending meetings. They pretty much represent not only one school, but they represent the school for the whole ward, and this is to engagement of refreshment. So by saying that, let the parents themselves or caretaker cough it up from their pocket, because that's the policy. Once again, there's been other policy that included with anti-racism and so on, and it's been changed. So no excuses. We've been going through COVID pandemic. Things were able to change quickly. Policy was able to be defer. So this should not be even on the table. This should be done. This is a ministry funding. It's $500. We're not asking $50,000 to be given. It's pretty much chump change, and this is refreshment to get involved. So it has to be more than that in regarding to not forcing it. It has to, if it means money, pocket money, component base, if it means trustee giving it, because it sounds like to me is lack of trusting the parents with $500. So if we're gonna talk about accountability, transparency, engagement, this is absolutely shows as non-engagement to Piac reps and to parents everywhere.
Thank you, sir. Michelle?
Through you, Chair, thank you. I will ensure that message gets back to our finance staff.
Thank you. Musa, you had a question?
How long is the process to get the funds back in the event the parents, the co-chairs or the co-reps, they fork out from their pocket and then they submit it? Who they submit it to, and how long will it take for them to be refunded?
Through you, Chair, minimum of 2 weeks.
2 weeks?
Yeah.
And through, sorry, who? Through the Piac chair?
So, no, through you, Chair, we would have to set up a process because your funds are held within my structure, So what would happen is if you do a purchase, your receipts would come to me. I then take those receipts and then redirect them up, and then it goes to our accounts payable, and then a check will be issued to you.
So
Or
the
e-transfer, depending on what decade we're in.
so the receipts have to be sent to you by email.
Receipts, yes, receipts could come to me via email.
Email.
If you are purchasing refreshments, there's a procedure of the board where I have to provide you with a form where you have to capture the names of the individuals who are in that meeting, who attended, and then that gets submitted with the receipt.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, that's standard, yeah.
That's fine. Thank you.
We have two questions online, and we also have Mercy. So can I ask the questions
I was
online?
going to say, so who do we have online that we're putting on the speaker?
So from Anna, she asks, what about the food program starting for the 24-25 year in all TDSB schools? She just received a flyer from Liberal Bill Blair.
Through you, Chair, we don't have information on that yet, but what we can do is make note and have it ready for your fall meeting.
Thank you, Michelle. And then I apologize, Mercy, we'll get you. I just want one more person online. That's all, but we'll get you, I promise.
And from Jessica Ruiz, if we use TDSB vendors, can they direct invoice to Piac?
No, because then Piac would have to redirect that invoice to me. You don't have an individual setup structure within the board because you can't pay them. So for them invoicing you, you're not able to pay them. The payment will come through the Toronto District School Board. So the invoice could come to Piac, and then Piac would then have to forward that invoice to my office for me to then submit it. Or, there's some individual vendors who actually submit it directly to our accounts payable office because they're vendors of the board. So the structures may differ depending on who the vendor is.
Okay, and then, sorry, is this with respect to that question?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's why we have Mercy, and then I can let Lisa go.
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. This question is related to the school council funds. And so my question is for Michelle. Oh, can you not hear me? Oh, sorry. So you were talking about workarounds. Oh, sorry. You were talking about workarounds, and I heard that there is an option to do a purchase or payment card or purchase card. I wanted to understand what's the process involved with that. And then also another question is, because we're dealing with communities, also I think it is, correct me if I'm wrong, if it's possible to have like a petty cash set up for school council to be able to use funds for their activities, because we're not talking about a lot of dollars here, that the funds that they have, with the school, on the funds with the school side anyway. I wonder if that's a possibility, if that's a conversation we can have with finance.
Through you, Chair, I'll begin with the last question first, Mercy. There used to be that model. That model was once upon a time, schools used to be able to establish a petty cash account, which is what most principals had used to support their school council initiatives. And I believe that's why they shifted the process, because it was not working effectively in terms of how the cash was moving, where it was moving, and tracking and monitoring of it. That's why they really did away with that model. Whether the board is looking to move that, I can't speak to that. But what I will say is this item and this issue is before our staff, and it will not be the first time they're hearing it. They've been hearing it all year. And so I will go back to them again in terms of this level, because I have emailed them around. Now Piac is interested. What would that process look like? So I'm sure that they're exploring to see what's possible, and I look forward to bringing something back to you. My apologies, the P card. I want clear what you're referring to regarding the P card at school councils.
Yeah, so because we have the funding, so it's it's a credit card basically that is used by school. Well, it would be used by school council to purchase. So the purchases would have to be approved before. So then in this way, school council will not have to use their own funds to make purchases.
I've noted it. I'll bring it back. Thank you.
Musa, and then I believe there's a motion that this working group has to present. No? Okay.
I thought Melanie, you want to read the motion?
We also
Actually, I
put it on
apologize,
the
Melanie. I know that Musa had a question,
screen.
but I just want to make sure that we didn't miss your motion. That's all. Musa, can you, is it something that can wait, possibly? I know, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. But if you could, just so we can get this motion on the floor and people can discuss.
Okay, so it's transparency of school budget funds. Okay, so school council support working group motion for transparent reporting of school council funds. Whereas pursuant to the Education Act, Ontario Regulation 612-00, the purpose of Parent Involvement Committee is to support, encourage, and enhance parent engagement at the board level in order to improve student achievement and well-being by supporting school councils of the schools of the board. Whereas pursuant to Regulation 612/00, the purpose of school council through the active participation of parents to improve pupil achievement and to enhance the accountability of the education system to parents. Whereas the TDSB requires principals to consult with school councils on the school budget. Whereas school-generated funds are not clearly defined by TDSB as including both school council-raised fund, non-board, SGF, and school staff-raised funds, non-board, SGF, the latter of which are not tracked by TDSB, resulting in lack of accountability. Whereas school councils have protocols around financial reporting, and those councils who use School Cash Online are reliant on the office staff to provide the necessary School Cash Online report data. Whereas model schools for inner cities funding allocation is part of the school budget, but is not clearly communicated with school councils. Whereas school nutrition programs are school partners and often received fundraised monies from the parent caregiver community, and these programs' financial records should be shared with school council for greater transparency. Whereas school councils receive annual operational funds for council administration, $1.25 per pupil, minimum 300, maximum 1,000, and for parent engagement, 500 per school, found on GL 41500 of the school budget, and many schools are unaware of, the spending of which is a school council decision in consultation with the principal. Whereas there is a need for transparency and accountability of school funds for system accountability. Therefore, be it resolved that Piac recommends that 1. The director provide a report on school-generated funds, non-board funds, of schools, which includes A, non-board funds raised by school councils, and B, non-board funds raised by the schools, not including funds raised by councils. 2, Piac be provided with a definition of the reporting criteria of school-generated funds non-board that specifies A, school council's fundraising non-board funds, and B, schools fundraising non-board funds. 3, principals regularly report their school council on the school's fundraising of non-board funds. 4, principals regularly the school councils on the school's budget, including but not limited to model schools funding and nutrition program funding. 5, that each fall information and training regarding the reporting of school budgets, including all fundraising of non-board funds, be provided to A, principals, B, office administrators, and C, school councils. I guess we'll open up the floor to questions now.
Could I get someone to second this motion?
I'll do it. Ward 15, Yusuf.
Thank you, Yusuf. Ward 15?
Yusuf, yes.
Thank you. And is this a motion which we would like a recorded vote? Again, we need 3 members to do so. Anyone online requesting a recorded vote? Anybody in the room? Seeing none, hearing none, motion passes. I apologize, Millie. I want to make sure that we got your motion on the floor. Your working group is working too hard for us not
Thank
to
you so
talk about your
much.
motions. So thank you for the work on that. And I promised Musa you could ask his question, and then Melanie's back to you to help us with the report.
So wait, are we not able to ask questions?
My apologies, sorry. It's like riding a bicycle and I fell off the bicycle for a second. I
Sorry.
apologize. We can definitely discuss, but it's past. And now I feel like I apologize. I'm willing to have someone up me. Point of order. I don't mean to be out of turn here. So I guess we should have discussed first. I apologize, Andrew. I know Andrew's definitely.
But normally we would have the put the motion forward, second it, then
In
question.
discussion, I realized as I was saying that. So
Yeah.
my apologies to the whole entire Piac at the moment. So
My question is pretty straightforward. So the last part that you mentioned that the training be provided to school councils, principals, and administrators. I believe that's the wording.
Yes.
Is that not already provided? I believe there's town halls held in the fall by PCCEO for school councils to learn about how to manage their budgets and reporting.
Through you, Chair, we do a variety of different sessions throughout, but I do know that Piac had requested specifically for the 23-24 school year that something be targeted to treasurers. So we do school council broadly, and we have presented to our finance department to look for the new school year to do very targeted sessions for treasurers of the board. So they're fully aware of what the expectations are of them. That's how I interpreted that. I may have interpreted it incorrectly, but that's how I interpreted that. They're looking for something for treasurers. I will say to you that we have FSO, financial officers, who each year actually offers this session to principals where they're walk through their full budgets, they're walk through the school council budgets. And so I'm sure this is something that staff will be able to provide update within the fall.
Thank you, Janice.
Thank you, Michelle and Chair.
Oops,
Yeah.
everybody. Oops, my apologies, my bad.
There's also a question from Anna, Ward 18.
Go ahead, Anna.
Hi, thank you so much. I'm sorry to be sorry. I apologize in advance. I'm very new. This is my second meeting, so I have 2 questions. So this already passed really quick, I believe. I do attend, and I did attend school council meetings quite a lot, very regularly, and I find that this is a lot of work for school council members who are parents, and the principals and office administrators are already overwhelmed, and we all know that lack of teachers, lack of just TDSB support. And my second question is, I read somewhere that previously there was a motion passed for $500, and the Piac reps would engage to their wards. And is that expected to be paid out of pocket? And would the Piac reps get reimbursed? So just those are my 2 questions and thoughts. Thank you so much.
Michelle?
Through you, Chair, let me begin with the second. So yes, right now, the policy and the procedure of the board is a reimbursement model. We have presented it to staff, so we'll see if staff is able to come up with any alternatives in the interim. As for the first, I didn't quite understand it as a question and more as a comment. And Anna, if you would please repeat the question, I'd appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. What I was trying to say is I think you guys already passed this motion. So I just had a question, and I know and I appreciate that everybody worked really hard on this motion. I'm just saying that this is a lot of work for school council. I've been on a lot of school councils. I attend regular meetings, and I find that for parents and for staff and for office administrators and for principals, this seems like a lot of work. And I feel that that's why there isn't a lot of community engagement because of all this administrative work. I don't know if this is a question, so I think it was just my thoughts that I wanted to share with you all. Thank you.
Yeah. In regards to both Anne and Janet, in why this was brought up in the school council support working group, the biggest question that always been bring up is the treasurer role and what exactly it is. It's not like it's a lot of work, it's just lack of knowledge and the support mechanism. Once the training happens, you have the principal support. It's just a monthly budget update and reporting. And hence why it's so crucial that there is a training available for the school councils so that they understand what that role is. And it plays a big role because that's where they can do other engagement, including the innovation grants and so on. So it came straight from the school councils on the ground that brought up this training as mandatory. Go ahead.
Gordon?
It also seems to address an issue where there is non-board funds raised by the school, but it isn't reported. As school chair myself, I was having this issue where I wasn't getting, the parents were asking for financial transparency, and we simply didn't have it, and this seems to address those issues.
And again, my apologies, I put the cart in front of the horse asking if we wanted a recorded vote before we discussed, my bad. So I'm gonna ask the question again formally. Are we asking for a recorded vote? Oh, wait, we have another question?
We have one more question from Seema.
Sorry about that, Seema.
Hi, Seema, Ward 18. Quick question here. So are the our treasurers or whoever's producing these reports, are they using software or do they have to use like an Excel spreadsheet? I'm just trying to understand because I guess as money comes in, money goes out, those activities should be updated just for record keeping, like the bookkeeping aspect, right? Mm-hmm. So in theory, if that bookkeeping activity is happening on a regular basis or a timely basis, then generating the report, depending on what tools being used, shouldn't be difficult. But I just don't know what kind of tools are being used for the, like as a treasurer or school admin for the financial reporting. Is there a set type of tool that's used all across the board, or is it like each school can use their own?
Sure.
Through you, Chair, there are templates that are provided to school councils and schools each year that comes out from our finance office. There's final reports and interim reports that school councils are required to do. If it's helpful to Piac, what I can do is redirect you to our financial school council page where it outlines that information, or I can also have our finance department share with you how the PSAB report works, the tools that are. So your question, are there tools at the school council, at the school's budget level to track this information? Yes, there is. And are there tools shared with councils for this? Yes, there is.
Okay, great. So it's just a matter of getting school councils trained or treasurers trained on using that particular tool so that they don't have to do so much manual work, right? So that they're not relying on spreadsheets to keep track of everything.
Through you, Chair. So I want to say that there is a virtual training online. So our staff did create something. It is online. It is available. My office has shared it across school councils. What I specifically asked our finance staff for was an in-person or live virtual type of session. So treasurers right now who may be interested in finance may actually go and watch the virtual training that's available online.
Thank you, Michelle. Janice?
Thank you, Michelle. Yes, and we have a question from Anna. What happens if a school council does not have a treasurer?
Andrew?
It's not necessary to have a treasurer. All responsibilities of the treasurer would fall to the co-chairs.
Thank you, Andrew. Okay, so we're going to pretend I didn't say anything before, and I'm going to ask officially again, would we like a recorded vote of this motion? Again, we need 3 Piac members to request that. No, at the beginning I did, yes. So in other words, if we would like to officially do a roll call vote where we ask each ward to vote on that, we need 3 members right now to request that. If we don't have 3 members to request it, it is considered a consensus vote, and we pass the motion. So, no, nothing online. I see nothing in the room. Thank you for your patience with me this evening. We have Musa, who's been incredibly patient, and then Melanie, I apologize, there are great points that you want to speak about, Musa, and then we'll continue on with the report.
Michelle, where can we find the financial reports for Piac?
Financial reports are shared usually with the organizational co-chairs. So you may just connect with your co-chairs and you can get the report. If Piac is requesting that it gets sent out to all Piac members, as Mr. Waters had put forward before, that's the directive that Piac can put forward, and then we will start sharing it with the entire committee. What my office has done is send it with the co-chairs who are managing the finances, who are managing all of the incoming out, and they are the ones who share it. But if Piac would like it shared to all members commencing in the fall, we can absolutely do so.
Thank you.
Andrew.
I would suggest that we actually vote on this today. I've been requesting information for the past 4 months and received nothing. And again, I think the membership needs to see this information. Again, all school councils can have access to the books at any time. So I would suggest, and I don't understand why staff can't just voluntarily provide this information to all members. I don't know why we need to have a motion, but I just want to point that out.
So, Michelle, a question to you, as process, if this were the case, then we'd have to have the motion drawn up on the floor this evening?
Through you, Chair, I was not suggesting that this committee needed a motion to do it forward. I was just suggesting the committee would just simply say that the office should share this information out, and the information will be shared out.
Thank you. I apologize, Melanie. I think there are some more points you wanted to make, really important points, so my apologies.
Oh, no worries. Okay.
Through
So
you,
this is some. Oh. We good? Okay. School Council Innovation Grant Feedback Form. So this is just some feedback on the School Council Innovation Grant. Selection and review process. 1, school selection parameters. Could you please clarify how schools are selected for the SCIG? Are model schools prioritized in the process? 2, review panel composition. Who compromises the review panel for the grant applications? 3, applicant data. How many school councils applied for the SCIG and how many were funded? Can you share the date with Piac? 4, funding details. How much funding is provided by the ministry annually for this grant? Can you provide the data? Application process issues, errors in the form. There were issues with the application form, such as 2 separate links being provided and the form being in edit mode, leading to shared personal information. More time should be given to applicants when such errors occur. Serving food restrictions. Money allocated for food is being restricted to only allow refreshments, which is not sufficient given the high levels of food insecurity. Many applicants might rely on such events for their meals, and this limitation exaggerates the already vulnerable situation. Allowing full food distribution during these events could help address this critical need. Follow through and implementation. 1, project implementation. How does PCCEO ensure that the funded projects are serving the community effectively? 2, vendor list. The current vendor list seems outdated and limited. What are the parameters for vendors to be included on the list, and how often is this list updated? Additional concerns. 1. Vendor diversity. There is need for increased diversity among vendors and the inclusion of vendors who meet diverse community needs. 2. Application timing. The timing of the application process was challenging as committee chairs had not been selected, making it difficult to get necessary sign-offs. 3. Fund management. Depositing funds into school accounts can create difficulties if the principal is not fully engaged. How can this be addressed? 4. Training sessions. Training sessions indicated that vendors were not necessary, focusing on innovation, yet the approval process seemed to require them. Can we clarify this requirement? 5. Contract regulations. Contract regulations are complex for parents to manage if they are the applicants. How can this process be simplified? Actions and requests. 1. Transparency. We request transparency regarding the selection procedure and the staff involved in the approval or denial of applications. 2. General meeting presentation. Could you provide a presentation at a general meeting to explain how the PC CEO office manages the SCIG process? 3. Data and statistics. We request data and statistics on the applications and funding decisions. 4. Rubric scores. Can school councils receive the rubric scores for the application process for better understanding and improvement? 5. Capacity building. More capacity building opportunities should be provided to parents and caregivers to support their engagement and confidence in applying for implementing grants. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Melanie. Michelle?
Through you, Chair. Thank you, Melody, School Council Working Group, for these questions. Question 1 through 4, all that information has been public. It's on the public site under School Innovation Grants. I've been providing Piac with updates in all of my reports to date on the School Innovation Grants, where the funds come from, how much is allocated. There's an FAQ that's available there that answers some of those questions. I can go through 1 to 5, but if it's okay with this committee, I'll take 1 to 5 back, and I'll respond to all of these questions by email to the entire committee, if that works for the working group.
Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I will include the link for the School Council Innovation Grant website, so members will be able to go through it.
Thank you, Michelle. And to the
But
working group,
through
is there a
you-
timeline that you'd hope to have this information? Would you like it before the end of the school year, or is that something in September?
Before the end of the school year, preferably.
Michelle, would that be doable?
Through you, Chair, I will aim to do that. I will say to this committee, while we're on this topic of School Council Innovation Grants, is one of the sensitive areas about the grant is school councils that apply for the grant and don't spend the grant. So I'll tell you now, we have a number of school councils who have informed us that they'll not be able to spend the grants. And we've seen that in the last 2 years. So what we have been saying to councils is, if we get to the end of the year and you have not spent that grant, you will not be eligible for the grant for the following year. And here's why. As you know, there's a set amount of money allocated. So there are a number of councils who have applied who don't get the funds. So to be funding schools that are knowing that they're not in the position to implement the project. And so we have a process in place where once the grant is approved, and I'm going to connect back to the comment about timelines. Last year, we got feedback from council around the timelines the year before. So we adjusted those timelines. So this year was a very different timeline. We started way earlier, providing school councils with way more time to review and complete. So we try to make the grant very responsive in that way, because we do receive feedback from the grantees. That will be going out very soon. And as the feedback comes in, we try to adjust the program for the following year. And so we have so many councils that don't get the funding, and then we have councils who don't spend it at year end. And so what we thought we'll do is a council who doesn't complete it, and we've been saying this to councils for the last 2 years, preparing them for that if you don't spend all your funds by this school year, you may not be eligible for grants for the following year. You can come back the next year, but just not the following year, thereby opening the pool up for more councils to be eligible. There are many councils who believe that the School Council Innovation Grant is a replacement of the Parent Reaching Out grants. It's not. The ministry actually stopped parent reaching out grants a number of years ago. What our board decided to do was continue a grant model because our school councils were accustomed to a grant model with less money. Because through the ministry, their allocation of the parent reaching out grants, remember that process didn't come through the board. You applied to the ministry allocated the funds, it came to us, it went directly to schools. When they eliminated parent reaching out grants a number of years ago, it was replaced with funding that was directed to boards. And one of the things that came through you as a committee, when I shared it with you, was that we took those grants and 75% of those grants support school council. That is on the website, that's public. You can go take a look at how those funds are allocated. And I'm always open to conversations as how to that look differently. I'll tell you what's alarming to me though, that I'm bringing to your attention. Under the new ministry's whole plan, the new funding, I have yet to find those engagement dollars that was allocated in the past. I've been asking for it. I've reached out to the PCO office at the ministry level to inquire whether those funds are in place, whether they're just late. I've inquired to our staff if they've seen it in the new structure. And so we've not heard of it yet. So we're still waiting. I've not even seen your funding yet. That supports Piac for the next school year. So I'm hoping to hear word, and I hope when I do that, I'll be able to communicate back to you whether the engagement funding remains in the new funding model.
Thank you, Michelle. Do we have questions online?
We have 2 questions online.
Yeah, go ahead.
First is Azim in Ward 21.
Hi, I have a question regarding the support, IT support during the vacation, that is the July and August times. Like as the school year ends, the passwords or the accounts get, I would say, refurbished or they get deleted. And then again, during those days, will there be any support or will it be like wait till the school year starts?
Through you, Chair, I believe that question was addressed. Executive Superintendent Chan Robinson, do you recall our IT exec speaking to the extension and the carryover of school accounts into the summer? I'll tell you what I'll do. I don't want to speak out of turn, and I don't want to put words in my colleague's mouth. I will ask the question in terms of the extension of school council accounts into the summer months, July and August. That's the question you're asking, Azim?
Yes, it is.
Okay, I will get an answer to you and get it back.
Okay, thank you.
And now we have Seema, Ward 18.
Hi, Michelle. Question for PCCO. For the applicants that were rejected, in the previous year, are they considered, and they submit another an application for the following year? Are they automatically approved if they've got if they meet, I guess, the rubric measurements for their idea, or is it still sort of like a different process?
Through you, Chair, this is again a question regarding the school council innovation grants.
Yes, sorry.
We actually leave it at an open full application. We don't prioritize previous applicants. Actually, we've actually considered that, right? That if a council applied the year before and was not successful with the grants, that we prioritize those councils the following year. But that poses multiple challenges as well in terms of the process, because what it would mean then is we shouldn't even put out the grant. Because what it would mean then, do you see what I mean, Seema? Yeah. Because the number of applicants that we've turned down is more than the number of applicants that we approved. So we should essentially then just that would require us then to think about what we'll do then is we only do an application once every 2 years, because in year 1, we get the applicants. And then if year 2, we fund the ones who did not get funded. And then year 3, we put out another call. Do you see what I mean? That's what it would end up being because there's so many applicants. And so that's why we've discussed that model among our team to try to find ways to open up the grants. And we just figure that poses somebody at a disadvantage. And so what we do is we just accept applications as they come in and based on their review and go from there.
Okay. And is there any cutoff point for, let's say, school councils who applied and then, let's say they, for whatever reason, they know sooner than later that they can't use the grant funds, for them to return it and then that to be given to another school council?
So through you, Chair, yes, we have considered that. If there's timing that allows us, if
Mm-hmm.
we're informed in a timely manner, so that will allow a new school council to get the funds and actually do the work to get their project updated. We've actually done that, and yes, we do. And what we do is we just go back to the list and do a random pull. It's a randomized thing we do through Excel to pull up one of the schools, and then we reach out to let them know that we have some additional funds, and if they're interested, we ask the question, we don't assume. That just happened a few times. So we heard from councils about 2 weeks ago that they're not able to complete the grants. We don't think that's fair time to reach out to a new school council at this time to say, are you interested in rolling out your project, to do so in a couple of weeks? So where possibly, we do offer it.
Okay, that's good. Thank you very much for answering the question,
Okay.
Michelle.
Thank you, Seema. Okay, so I'm looking at my speakers list. I have Sarah, Kadeen, Musa, Andrew, and Alice. I'm also trying to be mindful for time, folks. So I want to include these questions, but understand that that might just cause us to maybe extend our meeting tonight even another 10 minutes. Sorry, yes? I apologize, Kadeen. No, you can actually ask it if you like. Are you sure? Okay. So just based on the speakers list I have Sarah, then Musa, then Andrew, then Alice, and again, Kadeen, if you really want to, please let me know, please.
Thanks. In regards to Michelle, I think we can get that information. The schools that haven't used their innovation grants, there's school council that came forward, and again, is the barrier that we just spoke about earlier, which means that they have to use money from their pocket and get reimbursed. So once again, we're seeing the pattern here over and over again. Many of the schools are either model schools. So what happens, the ones that actually get approved is usually what the principals or the administrative are very understanding, and they have the credit, as Mercy was mentioning, to be utilized, or they have petty cash, and then that's how they get reimbursed. But majority of them, yes, they have applied for the grants. Yes, they got the money and allocated, but guess what? They cannot utilize it because they need to use their own funding and then get reimbursed. So once again is the barrier. So if you need more of that detail, we can probably by September comes and ask the school councils if they can give us more testimonial and information in regards to that. Thanks.
Thank you, Sarah. Kadeen, you're still here though. Are you sure? I still have you here. Did you want to ask the question? Are you sure? Okay, no worries. Okay, wanted to make sure. Okay, thanks. And Musa.
In regards to the applications that are not being approved, but they could have been approved, as you said, and they could be considered following year, would you put them on a wait list of sorts, or they would have to apply again?
So our present practice is reapplication. So every year we put out the School Council Innovation Grant, you reapply. What we do for councils who are interested in information about their grants, we offer that. They connect with the staff, and the staff will provide them information as to what their scores were, how did we go. We already do that on a one-on-one basis for councils who are interested. So we don't, our present practice is no, we do not put them on a waiting list. They reapply the following year.
Thank you. And what about inflation? When was the last time the set amounts were set for inflation or upgraded?
I'll tell you, the inflation has not been considered in the grants because inflation has not been considered in the funding. What the minister gives us is what the minister gives us, and you've been hearing our board having this long conversation about our budget process and how funds are allocated to our district. So I will say to this committee that, yeah, I'll leave it at that. I'll leave it at that.
Thank you, Musa. Thank you, Michelle. We have Andrew.
Just a quick comment. I do like the idea around, again, school councils that provide very short notice that they're ineligible the next year. I do believe there need to be measures in place to ensure that the funds get spent. I think one other thing to consider is perhaps on the reporting is moving that up. I think a reasonable time frame for a council to organize and spend the funds would be by March break. And then what that would allow to happen is that if there are councils that haven't spent the funds or done nothing or set up, that then you'd have that opportunity in April, May, and June to redistribute those funds to other councils to have like a second kick at the can. So not only that punitive approach, which I agree with, but also, we really want to get these funds spent. So providing an opportunity for councils to spend those funds.
Thank you, Andrew. And Alice, I know you're really patient, but Kadeen has caught her question to ask. So Kadeen, go ahead.
Sorry, thank you. Michelle, I just wanted to clarify where we can find the data on the annual grants. You said it's all posted publicly online?
Yes, so if you go to the board's meeting, I'll share, what I've committed to the committee is I will send a link and then respond to the multiple questions that were posed around School Council Innovation Grant.
Perfect, thank you.
And I heard the committee say they want that done before we leave for the break.
Thank you, Kadeen. Thank you, Michelle. Alice.
Thank you. I just wanted to reiterate what I think Sarah was saying earlier, that although I'm usually want to step away from punitive approaches in most cases, and including in this one, I can definitely understand that your expertise and your team's expertise will probably have had thought about this, but I guess just another voice or thoughts on this is that I don't think we should be putting punitive and more barriers on parents that have applied and are not able to spend their funds in time, because I know that you've been given, or you've expressed to us that you've been trying to prioritize schools that are maybe in priority neighborhoods, or for whatever reason you have some sort of system to prioritize schools that are more in need. And we know that school councils, a lot of the school councils across the board, most of them are run by not as diverse parents, and we want to make sure that we have leaders, working class parents, diversity of parents, and not penalize them or punish them because they haven't been able to. So I feel like even though we want to spend the funds, there's got to be a way where maybe there's some way to support them more. Maybe you can ask us to help, reach out to them. There's got to be another way that's maybe not punitive to approach this, because I don't like the idea of deterring parents who may not be traditional parent leaders from applying to these grants. Just some thoughts.
Michelle?
Through you, Chair, one of the considerations why we got there, and it wasn't an easy conversation we had with our team, was our 150 model schools all have additional staff that could support them with the grants process and support them with the initiatives to get that done, right? And so that was one of the things we thought about, that those schools actually have staffing and programming in place. That is where, if there's anywhere in our district where the grants should be spent, it's within the model schools, because there's additional staffing support there to make those events happen. The second thought for me around that is, one thing we've been trying to do in multiple areas is beginning to collect some consistent data around the types of engagement that's happening across the board and where it is happening and how it is happening. The School Council Innovation Grant has given us some data to get a sense of what types of projects are happening, where they're not happening, and how they're happening. And so the other area that we're looking at now, where I've said to this committee multiple times that we're not seeing the funds spend, there's schools who are not even spending their $1.25. And that's the other area we're looking at. So we have schools who get the $1.25, the $500, and then apply for the parent reaching out grants. So what we started doing is just cross-tabulating. So councils who have not been successful with the grant, we checked our report to see if they spent their $1.25 the year before, and we're learning that there's some connections there because they have not. So what we do is redirect them back to their the school council funds that are allocated, and in some spaces, folks, that's $1,500. That's the same amount that they would have applied for in the grant that some are already having sitting for the school council. So what we're trying to do with the school council funds starting in the fall is begin to collect data around that, because then the board will be able to get a sense as to where these funds are being spent, where they're not being spent, and then we can begin to get deeper to the why they're not being spent. But right now, I could run a report each year to see what councils spend what in terms of their $1.25, the grants, and what you're finding is the schools that are ineligible still have that amount of money, and they're not even spending that $1,500 that's already there. Now, you've heard Sarah and the council committee speak to some of the challenges around that, but the reality is that's what it is, and we're trying to figure out. So one of the things that my office has come up with for the fall is that before that money goes to schools, we're going to share just a form with school councils and principals to say, how are you going to spend these funds? Are you going to spend it here, here, and here? Because what we're trying to do is, one, draw more attention to the funds. Two, get councils to be clear that your $1.25, it may not be $5,000, but it's $1,500. And it can be spent on a project. The same project that you would be applying for the School Council Innovation Grant for is the same project that your local 1,500 could provide for you. And so what that will enable us to do is go back at year end to get a sense of, did you hear the number of councils that actually said they were going to do this with their money, and this is what they actually did with their money? And then we can actually report out, are you actually using your $1.25, and if so, for what, and what are you not using it for?
So it looks like we have a question online. We also have, again, folks, I just want to try and curb this a little bit because that way we can actually get on with the other working group reports, because it looks like we have, after that, we'd have Musa, we'd have Gordon, and then I know Sharon would like to make a comment. So appreciate that at this point we might end up shoring up the other items in these working group reports, and I really don't want to do that. So we'll go ahead, but we might have to extend our actual meeting a couple minutes.
So we have a question from Tanya, and she's asking, are unused funds carried over for a larger pot the following year, or is the unused budget lost?
Through you, Chair, any unspent engagement dollars goes back into the system. So I will say, because there is no engagement funding other than what the ministry provides and the resources for my office, here's what I've renegotiated with budget. Any unspent school council dollars offsets interpretation, translation, and sign language each year, because that is one budget that we're constantly overspending in, interpretation, translation, sign language. And so what we do is we ensure that any funds that are surplus from any school council or grants gets redirected back to the interpretation, translation, sign language service of the board, which is a growing program which has received increased funding from the district, and I'm going to dare say unfunded by the ministry funding from the district to ensure interpretation, translation, sign language for our system. And so that's how we're supplementing interpretation, translation, sign language.
Thank you, Michelle. I have Musa, I have Gordon, and then I have Sharon. And then if we're good, we can move on.
Michelle, what is the percentage of repeat application approvals for the $1,500 grant program? What would you say is the repeat percentage?
Through you, Chair, I don't have an answer for that off the top of my head. It's something I can get you, but I don't have it right now.
And how can we access that information? Like, is there a report of how many schools get approved every year with their names?
Yes, so I will provide that. Actually, that information right now is online. So I will provide that. And if you go back a couple of my reports too, PCEO reports, you'll find that School Council Innovation Grant information there. But actually, you know what? I'll get the link and drop it in the chat. So those who want to go to the page right now can do so right now, but I'll also provide this committee with an update and a response to the School Council working group questions around the grants.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Gordon, go ahead.
Just a quick comment on the money that's allocated for school councils. It's coming to the end of the year. Your school council bank accounts at Alterna have been being dinged for $15 a month, or about $180 a year, plus $20 for any deposits that you've done. So if there's money left with the principal for school council, you should be asking the principal to refund or reimburse any bank charges, either deposit charges or any monthly fees. And if you can get that message out to your school councils in your individual wards, it's not a lot of money, but $240 roughly, probably on average, not nothing.
Thank you, Gordon.
That's a really great idea. Actually, does board staff know if Toronto District School Board principals can issue a check using out of that $500 of parent engagement in the 125 to do that if there's money left over?
Through you, would you clarify whether the board can issue a check to whom?
To the school council.
No. For the $1.25?
One of the listed expenses that's approved by the board for
No, that's not one of the approved expenses. That the
So
dollar-
then why
so
is
just
that not the case?
point
Because
of
that's a
clarification.
board mandated
Just
bank account.
point of clarification on the question, just so I understand it, that the $1.25 that is allocated to schools for engagement be used to offset bank fees for school council accounts.
There's a budget for school council.
Can you use your microphone, please?
Sorry, there's a budget for school council, which is, I think, $1.25 per student.
So, yeah, so you get a minimum of 300, maximum 1,000?
Correct.
Yes.
That money can be used for a number of things. It gets used for child minding. It can be used for beverages,
Yeah.
that sort of thing. It can also be used to reimburse bank fees for school councils. And if that money hasn't been spent yet, how does the school council get the money from the school? That's your question, isn't it, Andrew?
I'm sitting here.
So I guess
But
the
what I'll do
question
is I'll
is-
go and ask the question to finance and bring it back, because I
Yeah,
hadn't
so-
even realized that the engagement funds can be used to offset banking fees.
Well, no, that's what we're asking, right?
Oh,
So
no, I
the-
heard him say it's written.
So it
Yeah.
is.
So I wasn't even aware of that, so I will go back to finance. I will say this to this committee openly, that is something I would in no way support, that engagement dollars that are used to connect and engage parents are now being used to offset financial fees. I think there's got to be something that needs to be looked at. So that means really that if that's the expenditure of it, then that means the council really didn't need that money in the first place to engage parents if it's now used. But you've just thrown me for a loop. I'm going to go back to, thank you for that. I'm being transparent. I'll go back to finance because I had no idea it was written that the $1.25 can be used for financial fees. So I'll take that back and I'll have our finance office provide a response to Piac.
Okay, folks, I was going to put Sharon as the last person on my list. I apologize. I've been trying to do my best to stretch out as much time as I can for this discussion. Sorry.
Thank you. I just wanted to, I know there's a lot of questions being asked of the PCCO, but then PCCO is also a colleague of the local school, so PCCO cannot direct staff. So I'm going to I'm going to ask the executive superintendents. It's very concerning right now that I noticed that why is it that the schools are not utilizing their funds? And at the end of the day, on the school council, the principal is part of school council. Whether it be a voting member, they're not a voting member, but they're also part of that group. So the accountability should come through to the principal to find out why is it that your school is not doing what they're supposed to be doing. Is there a barrier that you're providing, or at the end of the day, we should not be coming back to school saying that they're unable to use the funds. So I'm asking if you can go back to the superintendents and the execs within your school community. And this is a hard question as to there has to be accountability to the leadership of that building to ensure that this is done and not having the punitive action against school council. Because remember, school council reset every year. So, hey, I'm a kindergarten parent of a junior kindergarten. I wasn't here last year, so why is it that now I'm getting punished for something that happened last year? The consistent person within that school is a senior, is a principal, and they're also part of school council. So is there a way we could get the principal accountable for ensuring that this is done? Thanks. Go ahead.
Through the chair, thanks for the question. We will follow up in terms of even finding out how many schools, to your point, are not utilizing their funds. That information I don't have top of mind, but I will look into it. Thank you.
No, not, sorry, no. Michelle, the PCCO can provide that, but they can't go back to the principal and say, hey, why aren't you using it? That's their colleague. They can't direct staff. Neither do school council can direct staff, which is a senior staff. The executive and the superintendent, that's who the principal report to. We need to find out. That's the accountability. They are part of school council. What I keep hearing is just parents, but staff is part of school council. A senior staff who can make or break what happens within that school. We need to go back to them and say, why is it that your school did not use the money? You're accountable for that. So this is where I'm asking if we can go back, find out who it is, and then we have to have a hard question with them. Are they the barrier, or they're not putting enough support? Like a total barrier, or, you understand? So I'm asking if we can get that, because it's not fair that, you know, parents work on this. We need a senior staff to help them implement it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the question. Through the chair, we will follow up. Thank you.
Thank you. I apologize. There are two people that would like to ask a question online, and as much as I would love to in every ounce of this meeting let that happen, I do have to draw the line somewhere and let us go on to another working group, although they're very important questions. Depending on what that question is, members can also email the chairs or also the PCCO office, depending on what that particular question might be. And again, it's just we got to move our meeting along a bit here.
I understand, and I'm so sorry again. I apologize in advance. I am very new. I just needed a clarification on what was posted. What are Robert's rules and what are Robert's rules of order? Sorry, and I know you said we're short for time, but it seems very important. Thank you so much. Sincerest apologies.
I put that in the chat. That'll be the motion coming up under operational effectiveness.
Thank you, Andrew. Okay, so we're going to move on to consultations.
Thank you, everyone. Just a verbal update for consultations working group for this month. The last working group meeting really focused on engaging our attendees, our community members and parents and Piac members in the conversation around the school council innovation grant. So the feedback that was just presented was the majority of our conversation, as well as being able to respond to the motion, the fundraising motion at the GPC committee last week. And just for members' consideration, we are still working closely with strategic planning to implement an internal process to collect some feedback to inform strategic planning for the next school year or for this coming school year. And so we are interested in members who would like to be a part of a small ad hoc group to prepare that survey. So we spoke about that at least twice at the last two meetings or the last two previous meetings. And so just putting that reminder out to please extend your interest if that is something that you would like to be a part of for the next few months. And I think our intention is to continue that work through the summer so that we can be in good shape to roll things out for September.
Thank you, Kitty.
Any questions?
Questions? Any questions online? We have any questions in the room? I think, did I see a hand up? Thank you.
Is Nadia on special events?
Yes.
Don't you?
Yes, I'm here.
Go ahead.
Through you, Chair, I apologize. Were there not motions for organizational effectiveness? No?
Yes, there are, but that update was just for consultations, so.
Oh, okay. Oh.
Go ahead, special events.
Okay. First, I just wanted to say that just a verbal update, and secondly, Michelle had sent some emails over for a couple things. Number one, I'm looking to see if we can secure another day for event working group meeting. I would like to see if we can hold one last one, as we gave up our Monday time slot after the event. So if I can get some days that would be possible that I could propose to the group, that would be great. And then next, we're just, with this coming meeting, if we can secure it before the school year is over, it's just to discuss any planning for next school year's event. And that's all.
Thank you, Nadia. Any questions? Okay, we'll move on to Katie and Sarah for operational effectiveness.
All right, thank you. Yes, operational effectiveness has a series of motions that we'd like to put forward just to continue our work into the coming school year. So do I just start reading?
And we're going to, of course, vote on these individually, correct? Like each motion is individually. Yeah.
Yes. So the first motion that we'd like to put forward is again related to the 2023-24 budget and is specific to the working group's year-end budget request. So I will just read. Thank you. The annual, so a bit of background, the annual provincial funding that supports Piac to operate during the school year is based on how much was spent the previous school year. It does not carry over to the following year's budget. It is important that Piac spends the full annual budget on working group requests to support parent caregiver guardian engagement priorities by the end of each school year. At the April 2024 Piac General Membership Meeting, 2 requests were approved. One, including $5,000 for Piac's yearly strategic planning session facilitator, and the second, including $5,000 to bring in a consultant/expert to analyze and recommend other communication or collaboration tools for school council. A response to many years of issues accessing the TDSB provided email addresses. With the understanding, so these were put forward at April with the understanding that both would be managed by the Parent Caregivers Engagement Office through the TDSB's request for quotes or RFQ process. Vendor invoices must be submitted by or on or before June 30th, 2024, as per TDSB Finance Department's deadline to receive 2023-24 vendor invoices. Due to delays in sending out these RFQs, it is unlikely that their RFQ process can be completed and the vendor invoices submitted by the deadline. So it is with this in mind that we put forward that if these 2 RFQs are not processed by June 30th, 2024, Operational Effectiveness Working Group would like to defer them, the total being $10,000 to Piac's next year, our 2024-25 budget, and then use any remaining money in Piac's current school year budget to purchase the following items to be ordered by the PCCO staff. So here's the first point: 44 copies of Robert's Rules of Order by Spark Notes, which is a laminated chart covering the basics related to how meetings are run using the Roberts Rules of Order. So this includes committee meeting procedures, understanding motions, amending bylaws, disciplinary proceedings, and glossary of terms. And the value for this investment is that while Piac's bylaws state that our meetings follow Robert's Rules of Order, many of us are not familiar with them, and this guide will help us to understand these procedures and lessen the confusion while motions are being voted on. This is important for upcoming motions, or at least for one of the remaining 2 motions. And the approximate cost for these 44 copies of Robert's Rules of Order are $500 approximate. We are also requesting printed business cards, 100 to 500 each for each Piac rep, with our full name and appropriate contact information. This, of course, is to be decided by Piac reps after funding is approved. And the value to this purchase also is that reps can confidently give out business cards to community members and not miss out on engagement opportunities because of issues accessing TDSB Piac emails, which is the only contact information on our most recently printed cards. The approximate value for this purchase is $1,500. And then finally, we'd like to also restock communications materials, examples, promotional pens that work, and I'll stress the ones that work, new Piac flyers, info tables, skirts, and banners. And of course, the value for this is that Piac reps can use these promotional materials in community outreach activities to educate them on what Piac is and what we do. And these items will have our new Piac branding and AODA compliant logo. Approximate cost $7,000.
Thank you, Kenny. Can I get someone to second this motion, please?
I'll second the motion.
Thank you, Andrew. And now it's open for discussion, although keep in mind we do need a recorded vote as this involves finance.
Can I pose a question from the chat?
Absolutely.
Anna has a question from Ward 18. She asks, is this the Roberts Rules AODA compliant?
Does that mean the version of the chart that we have titled?
Anna, would you like to clarify your question?
Yes, I just wanted to know if the actual Roberts Rules was AODA compliant, because I was Googling it and, sorry, I did Google it because I didn't get a response of what it was. And I just wanted to know if it was AODA compliant. So you're requesting that the entire, what you just posted should be laminated and sent. So I just wanted to know if that entirety of whatever you just posted is AODA compliant. And also, sorry, I have so many questions. Also, the business cards. We are in a world where we do everything via email and electronic and everything. I don't know why we need hard copies, but I'm sure you're all a lot more knowledgeable than I am. Thank you.
Kadeen or someone from that working group?
Thanks, Anna, for your questions. To give an honest response around the AODA compliancy of the Roberts Rules, I don't have a comment for that. If that means like as far as the Roberts Rules having clear and accessible language, or is it the actual print?
Yeah. So like the actual print that you were requesting to print. So everything in that wording that was just, I wanted to know if it was AODA compliant. Thank you.
Hi, Sima here, Ward 18. I'm not sure if it is compliant because I believe it might be produced by an American company. Andrew, are you able to comment on this? Because you probably have a better idea than I do.
What I would say is Robert's Rules, this is based off the 12th edition, again, is trying to use very accessible language from that perspective. As per ADOA compliance from, I guess, a text perspective, I don't think the document is, but I think that accessible copies for those who request would be able to be provided.
I didn't really necessarily mean the accessible point, just that, like Seema just elaborated. Thank you, Seema. I just feel that we are in a very multicultural place, and it just seems very outdated. Thank you.
Dennis?
Yes, we have a question from Bruce, Ward 10. Go ahead, Bruce.
Yes, in regards to the business cards, what some members are realizing is when we approach parents in person or at our school council meetings, they're like, "Who is this? Who are you?" So with the card, it does break down some of those assumed barriers, and that's why we've been bringing it back to the table to try and get that. In regards to Robert's rules, I have a question. Is it not possible to have a licensed copy put on our Piac website rather than printed 44 copies? Because new members will then need a copy going forward and stuff like that. So is there a way to get to get it licensed to be on the Piac website?
I apologize.
The issue is around copyright, and so as such, that's why currently it requires physical printing. I am not aware of any electronic version that is available for purchase.
Everyone, again, I might have to defer to someone who is for points of order, but we are at 9:30, so we do need someone to put forward a motion to extend our meeting by at least 15 minutes, folks.
I'll put forward a motion.
Thank you, Janice. I'm to second that. Thank you.
I second the motion, Bruce, Ward 10.
Okay. Thank you, everybody.
And we have a question from Tanya. Go ahead.
Hi. So I just had a question about the business cards. Now, my understanding was with the inability for many of us to access our TDSB accounts as Piac reps, the wish, I don't know if the ask is to have the business cards printed with our names and our personal email addresses, or is the ask to have blank ones that we fill out ourselves as reps? And that way I feel like we're optimizing the budget use on blank cards. Like we could have blank Ward 17 cards, blank Ward 18 cards, and simply apply the sticker, because reps come and go too. And I feel like printing a whole bunch for a rep that might be on their way out is not the best use of some funds.
Sarah, for the co-leader, I can answer in regards to why the business card, and if you look at it, it does say the full name. And yes, as you mentioned, Nadia, it was because of the problem with the email component, but also it's not proper. If you look at it, we do have a ward business card already available as a Piac. I think many of you guys received it on the conference. The problem is writing down in the middle of it when you're dealing with the parents is preferably to have the full name. And again, if we follow the procedures and everybody's membership is aware of, you have 2 years to use that card. So yes, we do need a full name and Piac rep, including emails and personal emails. I think we discussed in regard that we already have a TDSB email, and within the Piac rep, we've mentioned that in case if you can't access the TDSB email, you can create any first name, last name at .piac@gmail.com.
I would just add one further thing to members concerned about spending. Again, as Kadeen mentioned, if the money is not spent, then it goes back to the ministry. So it's, use it or lose it. So, that's a perspective.
Andrew?
Sorry, I apologize. Do we have any questions online, Janice? Because I see a hand up. Is that?
Actually, Nadia is next.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, hi, sorry. I just wanted to know, sorry, Sarah, were you addressing me? Did you hear my question?
Sorry, Nadia, can you repeat
Who
that,
was it that
please?
spoke? Whoever mentioned about the email. I'm not sure if it's you or Tanya.
Oh, okay, okay.
Was
Sorry.
it
No,
Tanya?
I wasn't
Was
sure because
Tanya?
I
Never
was.
mind, Nadia. It's not you. It's Tanya.
Okay, no, sorry. I just thought you were addressing me because I was
No,
putting
no,
my
no.
little guy to
It's not.
bed, so I
Thank
didn't
you.
hear that. So I just said, no problem. Thanks.
Francis, go ahead.
Me?
Yes.
Sorry, Andrew mentioned something. If that money, so irrespective of the cards, what they say and how we use them, because it would be helpful, I mean, at some point, if the money is not spent and the money goes back, then next year's budget is based on this year's expenses minus the $10,000, correct?
Through your chair, no, that's not my understanding.
Okay.
Sharon?
Okay, so I wanted to just, there's a lot of new members here, so I wanted to give you some historical fact on why we went to one type of business card than the other. And so actually we're coming back to where we were before pre-COVID. Pre-COVID, we had business cards that had names, but then we had members that would be leaving, and there's a lot of, in that Peckham, there's a lot of business cards that had their Piac names on there, but then the members are no longer. Then prior to COVID, there was a vote within the community that was prior to when we had community and outreach in the same working group. And then the group was able to say, you know what, since we want to keep it consistent, so any member that come on, there's no delay. So we do have printed cards for all 22 wards. But the problem is because COVID hit, we weren't able to effectively figure out the type of matting, the card itself. So when we have the cards now to write on it, it's very hard with a pen to write your information on it. And we didn't get enough time to look at it to say, hey, you know what, actually have a little section that says name, and then the person could actually write their name. But we do currently have a lot of business cards. Every ward has one without the name. That can be distributed. And this business card came to our Piac event, but a lot of members didn't pick up their cards. It was at the conference as well. And again, it was brought here for, here we have them right now during this last meeting, but there are ways if members still wanted to send it through. Just want to give it a historical factor as to where we are now. We're going back to engagement with school council wants the Piac reps to go out there. And I'm letting you know now, parents won't look at you if you don't have a card, and like, who are you? So it's good to hand out the card, just like it gives us relevance, and also that's one of the reasons why we're on the website. And you can say, hey, here's my card, and look at the validation. You can validate on if it's your school, because you're going to be advocating for your own 22 schools or 30. You can say, okay, you know, look at such and such a school that's within the ward. You'll see my name on there, and I will validate that who I am. It helps. Thanks.
Musa?
I don't think it's a good idea to handwrite your name on a printed card. I think it's not a valid idea because it doesn't look legit. It has to be printed by the board, and like anyone can write their name. You know what I mean? If the card falls into someone's hands, anyone can write their name. So.
But you know what? The website validates you because you put your name as Sharon Grant in Ward 5. When you look at Ward 5, well, that's not you because it says someone else. So
not everyone is as intelligent as Sharon.
No, but what I was saying now, in the interim, we do have cards that we don't want to waste. So we could use those and add on if it's passed. Thanks.
Okay, we have Andrew.
I guess my suggestion would be I'm hearing from many different members. I'm hearing some members that don't think the need for these types of business cards. I hear other members that want the business cards. The motion in itself establishes that the members need to reach out to the PCEO office to establish their name and what email address they would want. So perhaps the $1,500 is actually too high because there might be several members here based on the comments that would not access that, but I would hope that members would respect each other and those that would want this would be allowed to have it.
I would one of the things that I'm just thinking right now is if it's possible, we could put a QR code, which would bring us to the Piac site for the TDSB.
Thank you, Chris. Just so we have a sense of who's speaking, it'd be really appreciated if we could actually, I know it sounds very old school, so to speak, but raise our hands. And that way we can actually create that speakers list. But thank you for all the questions tonight. Do we have any questions online? Janice? No? Any in the room? Because this is financial, we do need a recorded vote, folks. So we'll let Sharon do that one.
Okay, Ward 1, you in favor or against or abstain?
Ward 1 in favor?
Okay. Ward 2, in favor, against, or abstain?
In favor?
Ward 3, in favor, abstain, or against? And it's in the room, so.
Wards 3 in favor.
Okay. Ward 4, in favor, against, or abstain?
Commissioner Grant, Ward 4 in favor.
Okay. Ward 5, there's no Ward 5 rep. Ward 6, in favor, against, or abstain? Please say your name of what ward you're from. Thanks.
Ward 6, Mercy Charles, in favor.
Just Mercy. Ward 7, in favor, against, or abstain? Please say your name and your ward.
Alice Romo, Ward 7, in favor.
Thank you. Ward 8, in favor, against, or abstain?
Kadeen Bankasing, Ward 8, in favor.
Thank you. Ward 9, in favor, against, or abstain?
Melanie Madero Sims, Ward 9, in favor.
Ward 10, in favor, against, or abstain?
Ward 10, Bruce Oyelowo, agree, in favor.
Thank you. Ward 11, in favor, against, or abstain?
Ward 11, Charles Zhu, in favor.
Thank you. Ward 12, in favor, against, or abstain? Oh, Ward 12? I don't know. Is Ward 12 online? No, Ward 12 here? No? It's okay. Ward 13, in favor, against, or abstain?
Ward 13, Julian, in favor.
Thank you. Ward 14, in favor, against, or abstain?
Ward 14, Jenny, in favor.
Thank you. Ward 15, in favor, against, or abstain?
Ward 15, Yusuf, in favor.
Ward 16, in favor, against, or abstain? No Ward 16. Ward 17, in favor, against, or abstain?
Ward 17, Tanya Stevens, in favor.
Ward 18, in favor, against, or abstain?
Ward 18, Anna Asmatiar, abstain.
Abstain. Ward 19, in favor, against, or abstain?
Musa Alu, Ward 19, in favor.
Ward 20, in favor, against, or abstain?
Ward 20 and in favor.
That's Chris, right? Okay, Chris. Ward 21, in favor, against, or abstain? Please see your ward and your name.
Ward 21, Azim, in favor.
Thank you. Ward 22, in favor, against, or abstain? Please see your name and your ward.
Ward 22, Nadia Judnot, in favor.
Thank you.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Motion carried.
Thank you. We'll just continue with the remaining two motions, which I hope are really, they're just more administrative and for us to continue our business through the summer and into the coming school year. So motion 2 is a request to undertake a bylaws review process for the 2024-25 school year. And so just states that Piac is guided by a set of bylaws that outlines all aspects of the committee's operations that enable it to achieve its mandate to support, encourage, and enhance parent engagement at the board level in order to improve student achievement and well-being. The current bylaws that we have referred to extensively this school year were last reviewed and revised in 2021 and 2021 to adapt its operations to function entirely virtual during the pandemic. As 3 years have passed since the bylaws were last reviewed, and since Piac general meetings are now operating with a hybrid structure, as well as since currently 50% at least 50% of our Piac members are serving their first term as ward reps. The Operational Effectiveness Working Group moves to begin a review and update of the Piac bylaws for the coming school year. The specific areas for review that have been identified over a course number of meetings this year, the school year, include our review of the motions and recommendations process and follow-up. Also why, just for reference, we felt that having the Roberts rules available for all members would enable this and help to bring clarity. We are also would like to explore the sharing of member emails. This has become a concern related to information and privacy concerns and considerations. We are also looking to create or to review our general meeting agenda and setting process, and other areas as identified, including but not limited to meeting your norms, using Robert's rules again, and forming committee of the whole for new business, member discussions, and healthy debate. And our intention is to provide at least an update to members at the September 2024 general meeting with the intention that this work will continue in some form throughout the summer.
Thank you, Kadeen. Can I get someone to second that motion? Thank you, Janice. And
Yusuf,
again,
Ward 15, second motion.
thank you. And this is not a financial motion. Again, unless we have 3 people that are requesting an actual recorded vote, which we will then have one. If we don't have any, then this is a consensus and we move on and it's passed. But before that, is there any discussion? I apologize.
I'm sorry, don't bylaws require a recorded vote?
Oh, it is governance. My apologies. We do need a recorded vote. My bad. Sorry.
Sorry, Seema from Ward 18 here. Can that be displayed on screen? Because I'm not sure if I'm seeing it properly. It looks like half of it's kind of cut off. Maybe it's just my screen. Maybe it's just me? Is it just me? Sorry, if it is.
Through you, Chair, is that a better visual for you online?
It is for me. I'm just not sure if it is for anybody else.
It's for everyone. Just make it full screen, that'll be better.
All right, thank you. Through you, Chair, if you could just please repeat who seconded the motion, I'd appreciate it.
I did it, Yusuf, Ward 15.
Sorry, there was someone in the room, Janice, Ward 11.
Or two, Janice? Thank you.
Yeah, there are 2. Sorry, before we go on, we need to, we have, these are 2 important additional motion, and this is the last of our meeting before September. I'm requesting your patience and see if we could get a little bit more extension, maybe another 20 minutes. We'll hope to be wrapped up before then, but instead of keep asking each time another 20 minutes, so that we can finish business for the 2023-2024 school year. I'm hoping for your support on this.
I will put forward the motion. Janice, Ward 11.
I will second Ward 3, Andrew.
Thank you.
It's open to discussion and then a recorded vote to follow. Michelle?
Through you, Chair, I do have a question to the committee, if I may. The language states that specific areas for review include. Does that mean that if we want something specifically included for the review, it needs to be presented tonight and added to that list? Or will it be open for suggestions as you move through the process?
Those areas have been identified specifically because they've come up either in our previous working group meetings or at executive, but are not limited. So if members do have other areas they'd like to review, then yes, please let's put them forward throughout the process.
Do you have any other questions online or in the room? No? Okay.
Let's explain to our new members. Okay, Dean, I'm sorry. Can you just, we have a lot of new members who may say, what's this bylaw? So can you just do a summary of why it's so important, and just for our members, okay, new members, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is also open for other members to comment, but of course, our bylaws are what we come back to and refer to for guidance, especially in moments when we are making decisions, having conversations, and trying to get clarity related to the process of how we do our business at Piac. So having bylaws that are current and reflect our current needs, the environment that we're operating in, as well as our meeting process, I think is very important. We are constantly having the conversation this school year about how we can create efficiencies in our meetings, and especially with so many new members currently sitting in Piac, for there to be a collective understanding of how we do our business so that it can encourage participation. And we're also recognizing that with so many new people trying to figure out how things work, and then also expecting participation working group meetings and full participation in our general members, or sorry, in our general membership, like this evening, we feel it's important that all members have an understanding of how the Piac operates to encourage full participation.
Thank you, Katie.
Any questions online in the room? Okay. Hearing none, we're going to go to a recorded vote. So, Ward 1,
Ward 1 in favor?
Ward 2, Francis,
In favor?
Ward 3,
Ward 3 in favor.
Ward 4, Tamasha,
Sorry, couldn't unmute. Yes, in favor.
there's no Ward 5, Ward 6,
In favor.
Ward 7,
Alice Romo in favor. Can I state in favor for the following motion as well? Because I have to get going. Is that okay? I don't know if you can record ahead of time, but yes.
okay, Ward 8,
Ward 8 in favor.
Ward 9, was there anyone on Ward 9? We don't know who did. Ward 9? Oh, that's Melanie. Is Melanie, you on?
Sorry, Ward 9, Melanie in favor.
Yeah. Ward 10?
Ward 10 in favor.
Ward 11?
Ward 11 in favor.
Ward 12? There's no Ward 12, right? No, no Ward 12. Ward 13?
Ward 13, Jenny in favor.
Okay, just remember, members, we do have co-reps, so we'd like to know which co-rep is doing the, speaking on behalf of the ward in this motion. So please say your name and the ward, please, each time. Ward 14?
Ward 14, Jenny in favor.
Ward 15?
Ward 15, Yusuf in favor.
Ward 16? Ward 17? Sorry.
Ward 17, Tanya in favor.
Thank you. Ward 18?
Ward 18, Anna Asmatiar in favor. Thank you.
Ward 19?
Ward 19, Musa Alu in favor.
Ward 20? Chris, are you on? Ward 20?
Ward 20, Chris in favor.
Oh, okay. Ward 21?
Ward 21 is in favor.
Ward 22?
Ward 22, Nadia Judenot in favor.
Michelle? Motion carries. Thank you. Passes.
All right, thank you. And finally, we have one last motion. This one is specific to our recommendations for Piac's 2024-25 meeting schedule. The background is that this year's 2023-24 Piac meeting schedule included 8 months of monthly working group meetings and 8 general meetings for member participation. Due to a scheduling conflict, the March 2024 general meeting was canceled, leaving only 7 general meetings to action working group priorities requiring member approvals. With this in mind, Operational Effectiveness Working Groups moves to approve the following Piac meeting schedule for the 2024-25 school year to include up to 9 general meetings for the entire school calendar year. And so what that means is if folks are able to see the schedule, that we would host a meeting in September, and that's probably one of the major changes, and we will exclude a meeting in March for March break, which always creates challenges for parents' participation. So the meeting schedule there is a combination of 4 weeks between general meetings for some months, and then 5 weeks between general meetings for others.
Sorry, can we share that on the screen? I don't think if you could move the motion down.
Can I get someone to second this motion, please?
I'll second it. Ward 2, Francis Shura.
Thank you. We're open for discussion now, and then to be followed by a recorded vote. Janice, do we have any questions online? Nope.
And could I just offer, as folks are taking a look at the schedule, we've noted working group meetings to run that first week of September, the second week of September, and we acknowledge that that may be a challenge for co-leads, working group co-leads. So we just acknowledge that if those September meetings are not able to happen due to scheduling and other priorities, life conflicts, life priorities, that we would still host a general meeting for the 3rd Tuesday of September. And that would be important to allow just that extra meeting of all members to conduct whatever business we need to at the beginning of the school year, which right now includes a number of updates and other pieces of work related to our strategic planning.
We'll give the chair to Sharon for a second. So the working group, I hope it's okay that we know that we actually have to take these dates to the PCCO. So we vote on it tonight, but PCCO is going to actually go through these dates to make sure that there's no dates of significance, things like that. That's all. I want to add that note in there.
Through you, Chair, that I was going to ask the question. That was done when in presenting these dates?
A general review was looked at, but again, staff should take a look at it.
Okay, so I will take the dates and then just go through days of significance, and if there's none, and if there is, I'll just distribute it to both. Is that to both the co-chairs and the lead of the working group for discussion? Is that okay?
Can I just clarify then? So dates of significance, is that just holidays like other?
So yeah, the Toronto District School Board has days of significance on its calendar that it asks staff that we pay attention to when scheduling meetings. So what we usually do is we take a look at it, and if it's falling on a day of significance that our board acknowledges, then we'll notify you and say this falls on this specific day of significance, and whether you look to explore another date.
Okay. And then I'll just to clarify next steps, after that, double check or cross check is done, what would that mean then for the schedule that we've?
So what I'll do is I'll get this back to you before you leave for June, in terms of if there are any dates that conflict with the days of significance for your review. And then what it would mean then is that you would either adjust the schedule. So if you have a Piac meeting that falls on, let's just say Eid, because that's what comes to that. We'll say to you, that's Eid. That meeting should be rescheduled to another day. You look in the calendar to find another day. What we've done in the past, we've either pushed it forward or pushed it back.
And then one final question, just to clarify process here. Pending that check and then it coming back to us, do we vote after to approve that, or do we do that now?
My assumption that that would be, if you approve the schedule, with the understanding that dates may be pushed forward or back pending day of significance, then it wouldn't have to come back. It's just be noted and then the schedule be shifted accordingly.
Thank you.
Okay. Sorry, just also for us, 612 requires a trustee to be in our meetings for any Piac general meeting to be to have quorum. September, I'm not sure if we're going to have a trustee already set. So if there's no trustee, we can't have a meeting. So we got to make sure that there's a trustee designate as well, and every year the trustee resets. It may not be our current sitting trustee, maybe another trustee. So we have to also, PCO, Michelle has to go back and check that. Also, we don't have a conflict with any governance, any other trustee meetings as well, because then sometimes staff will need to be there. So these are the other nuances that need to be looked at. Michelle heard that? For a trustee, we're not sure who the trustee designate will be for that, the start of the school year. And also you can check that as well.
Trustee will-
I think my term ends in October, doesn't it?
In October. Through you, Chair, yes, it does.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
thank you.
Okay, thank you, trustee. Appreciate that. Okay.
I see a question from Mercy.
Yeah, so if we're done with the motions, the poll is ready. Just wanted to. I didn't hear.
So we're just going to do a quick vote with an amendment that, in principle, we'll vote to see if it's in favor for the current date, but it's a recommendation and it's a starting point for PCCO to look at and come back with the final date that can fit into a trustee, everything else, but at least there's a start, and use the same formula for 4 weeks, 4 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 5 weeks, 5 weeks, the same formula, but ensure that the dates are within that timeline, start in September. Is that okay, Michelle?
Through you, Chair, that works.
Okay, worked, Steve? Okay. So without further ado, because we need to, we'll go on to the next, and strategic planning has a poll update. Ward 1, say your ward and your name, please. We need to have a recorded vote.
I don't believe there needs to be a recorded vote, as this is not procedure.
Not budget or bylaw.
Yeah, it should be fine, good to go.
So just to confirm, do we have anybody who would like to have a recorded vote? Again, we need 3 members that would need that. If we don't have those 3 members requesting a recorded vote?
This is a governance? It's a government's recommendation. It's a governance recommendation. It's governance. This is a governance working group that put this forward. It's governance. So we need a recorded vote.
Okay, Ward 1 in favor?
I'm challenging the ruling of the chair.
Through you, Chair, there's a challenge on the floor, and it is an accurate challenge because that's not what your bylaw states. It doesn't state what government's committee could forward. It states very specifically your items, right? What items will be called for a recorded vote. So while it came through as a motion from the committee, it shouldn't have come through as a motion from the committee. It should come through for consideration. So, but it's not required.
Okay. Thank you.
Again, just to confirm then, so as long as we do not have 3 people requesting it, as already stated, this would just be considered consensus and we get to pass that motion. Thank you.
So hearing not having anyone wants a recorded vote, motion, the recommendation passes. Thank you.
And so, Rusi, you mentioned that a poll is available, and it's going to take a few moments of our time, guys, but this is so important to Piac and its future and its strategic plan. So thank you for your patience tonight.
Okay, hi, thank you, everyone. So just to give a brief overview of what this poll is about, during our strategic planning committee that we met I think, last week, it was felt by members that attended a meeting that we should do a poll just to get a validation of what the main concerns are, priorities that we should be looking at to help with strategic planning. Obviously, this is not going to be the main thing that we are only doing. So there's many steps that we need to take to be able to form our strategic planning, but this will help once we are putting together our RFQ. So that's what this is about. So we have is that the link, Kadeem? Okay. So the link is there now. If you can just click on it and then answer the survey.
And if it's okay, I can share screen as well? Yeah? Okay,
Yeah,
great.
would you take that out? You have sharing rights. Go ahead. You'll just change it.
Yeah, it's just gonna, I wanted to make sure that I could do that before. It will change what's on the screen. And let's see. So just to provide some support to Mercy, there has been a link shared in the chat that makes it easy for you to click wherever device you're on, and it will take you to a browser tab that the page should look like this. There are two main sections which are related to our internal experience as Piac members, and so we're really just trying to understand how well members feel our meetings are run and how well you understand our processes, bylaws, etc. And then there is a third slide, and you should be able to move through the slides on your own as well. Go to the next one if you've answered the first three questions. The third slide is related to our external experience and how much priority we should be giving to focus on our communities and working with partners, community partners, and our representatives, whether those are trustees or other staff. Bruce just raised his hand.
Through your chair, there's a question on the line.
You mentioned 3 slides, but I'm only, because I've clicked on the link, I'm only seeing the one slide with 3 questions. Is that what you're referring to?
I just moved it to the next slide, but I think people are able to advance on their own. And there's a third slide as well. So you can see there are some votes, so you're able to go back and forth between the 3.
Bruce, I think you just need to hit submit, and then it takes you to the next page, and then you do it again, and you go to the third page.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Seema. For everyone's confirmation, your vote is anonymous, so we'll be able to see the results at the end, but we will not know how anyone voted. So also have confidence that what you share, please do so honestly, and we will not be able to identify anybody's votes.
We can see you answering. will you be sharing these results with the group before we adjourn, or are you just going to take it back to the working group?
So please let me know what you think best. There is an option for this voting to stay open for additional days for anyone who's not here. So there is still an opportunity for members to give feedback if they'd like. Otherwise, we can just close the poll and share the results tomorrow, if that's okay.
And we probably could do a gentle reminder, Michelle, that to our members that if they have not yet voted or done the poll, they have until what time tomorrow to finish? Kadian, what's the end time for tomorrow?
Yeah, it can stay open at least until the end of Thursday. It gives folks extra time.
End of day Thursday?
Yeah, that's fine.
The 6th?
Do you have a list of who's not here to make sure to send it to them by email, I guess?
Through your chair, it may be easier if we just resend the whole link to all Piac members. I think that'd be the simplest way to do that.
Yeah.
Just send me the link and then, would you just send it to me now? Just so I make sure that I have it in your presence.
And the deadline is June 6th at what, 8 p.m., 5 p.m., what is it?
Midnight.
11:59.
11:59.
So you mean Wednesday into Thursday or Thursday into Friday? 11:59 June 6th.
You have to turn it off.
11:59 June 6th, sounds good.
Thank you. I like that. Thank you.
So can we adjourn now?
Oh, wait, just a reminder. Just as a, tomorrow, don't forget, June 5th, there's a school council town hall virtual meeting. Please check that out, and thank you all for your dedication.
Andrew, and then I'd like to say something.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, just an item of new business. Again, it was brought up previously. I do feel duty bound to do this as a piece of accountability. Again, the Sharon Grant, co-chair, spoke about accountability at this meeting. I provided her this opportunity to explain to the members how she was able to be co-chair for the past year and a half when our bylaws, the regulations, and the eligibility to run for co-chair clearly indicated you had to be eligible for a 2-year term. So I'd ask her the opportunity to explain, or possibly, if necessary, apologize to the committee.
When I put when I put the submission in, I did declare that I may be June would be the end date, but so I did go to the PCCO and advise them, and actually I was acclaimed for this position, so no one else put their name forward. Thank you.
And through your chair, that double check was the term was till the end of the school year. So when we sat and discussed that with the committee, we came that she would be here until the end of the school year, which is June, when her term would be completed. And so she would be here for the actual school year, leaving at the school year.
Mercy, and then in fairness, I'll talk really quickly, but go ahead, please.
I just have a question in terms of when incidents of anti-Black racism happens in the school. What's the process and what are the action items that happens after the incident?
It's a great question. Maybe to staff.
The anti-Black racism portal. How do you report anti-Black racism at the school?
Through the chair, the principle is to make use of what we refer to as PR 728 in terms of the portal that is there, and that information is submitted into that portal for staff. So it's not, it's an internal portal. So that is how basically that is recorded, and then it's often followed up with a opportunity to respond, a reorganizational transition meeting, and we look at the various factors around what took place. And in many cases, it's based on the education or re-education or the unlearning in order to move the situation to a better place so that all students feel that they're valued regardless of their circumstances or perceived circumstances.
Can I do a follow-up?
Sure, and then I believe Musa has a question as well.
Okay, so.
I'll be quick, I promise.
Oh, sorry.
Oh.
Thank you for that answer. Is there any communication to the families involved in the incident after it's been reported?
Through the chair, that depends. In all situations, the direct individuals involved, there should be definitely communication. Where it depends, it becomes a situation whether or not, for example, does the communication go with a particular class, or is it looking at a school-wide situation? So it depends on the circumstances specifically in each case.
Thank you. Musa?
Thank you. We have been talking about the handbook for school councils. Is there any update for that?
Through your chair, if I may, there was a request that the chairs write a report. That report is in draft version, and it will be forwarded off to the individuals identified by this committee, which was that it be sent to the Minister of Education, CC'd to the board. What we've not been able to identify yet, we've reached out to the ministry. They're not willing to relay to any boards the full list of all the PIC chairs across Ontario, because most of the PIC chairs hold private emails. So the ministry is not willing to share that. So we're trying to explore ways to connect with the other PIC chairs so we're able to share the communication with them.
Okay, thank you. And one last, second, about the certificates coming back.
You should
Want
be
your
getting them
signatures.
within the week. They were signed, tagged, and within the week, through the inter-office mail, you should be seeing them for the schools. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's all right. Mhm.
One last comment. This has been coming up multiple meetings and hybrid meetings actually, that the food selection is really poor today. There was no tea or coffee. There was not enough water. Some of our members that came back didn't have no food for them. We come right from work a lot of time, right? And we spend here quite a lot of time. If the board doesn't want to provide food, we can manage our own food. That's not a problem. But if we come thinking that there will be food, then there should be appropriate food, at least. Thank you.
Through you, Chair, that's a great comment, and I do believe that your strategic planning, that it's going to be one of those things you should discuss is what that's going to look like for your committee. Are you looking at full, warm, hot meals? If so, which month? And begin to allocate the budget that fits that. So then we will know each month what you're hoping to have and what your budget would be for that kind of meals.
This is that, personally me, I can provide whatever it costs.
Okay.
From my own pocket, that's not an issue. But I would expect a decent meal if I'm spending the whole evening here after work.
Fair comment.
That's a good point here. Thank you. A critical piece that we have to remember, I would like to say thank you to Director Colleen Russell-Rollins. She has announced on May 28 that she'll be retiring from the board. And as you know, Piac, she was our Piac director designate prior to COVID, or I think it was during COVID too. Yeah, prior and during. So just wanted to say personally that Director, if you can pass that on, execs, that on behalf of Piac, we want to thank her. We may have another formal thank you later. But because it's the end of the school year, would like to say thank you to her. Wish her all the best in her retirement, and she will be missed. She was a friend of Piac. Thank you.
And before we depart to our homes, to our families tonight, I want to share how great it was to see people in this room tonight. The smiley faces, the sort of smiley faces, the little comments being said. The reality is it's communication, and it's being present. I know online there's also communication, but just to let you know that people, when we're in person, it's sort of a different experience. I'm really hoping that next year we have a lot of really great conversation, a lot of great motions, a lot of great recommendations, and a lot of consideration for all of our voices, all of our ideas, and share that in a very genuine kind of place. Thank you. My apologies. I'm just not online tonight. Sorry about that, folks.
I'm sorry, through the chair. This is a very, very important question in regards to the PR 728. How do we verify whether or not the principal has submitted that? Or how do we encourage the principal that the parents are interested that they do that, where there's an issue and the principal is seemingly not willing to deal with that? How do we go about getting that PR 728 filled out?
Through you, Chair, I'm going to say to the parent, you use the parent protocol to expedite that process. So Bruce, what that means is if you felt that something is happening locally and you have followed your due diligence in terms of your teacher, your principal, your superintendent, your executive superintendent, that's the protocol that we have for parents to move things through our system.
Thank you for the clarification, through you, Chair. And is there a way to see whether or not they have submitted that? Is it visible to us?
I apologize, online we have two more hands, it looks like. After these last two hands, everyone, I believe we... Oh.
Is that question finished?
It wasn't a question through you, Chair, just a comment. I just wanted to extend my thanks and appreciation to all of the Piac reps for your work this year. It's truly appreciated, and I wish you and your loved ones a wonderful, restful summer break, and looking forward again, or not, to see you in September.
So we have a question for Francis in Ward 2.
Go ahead.
I believe you asked through your chair, but I'm wondering, it was based on the same question of the other gentleman, is I'm wondering if the principal or the superintendent are permitted to send an incident report once those incidences are logged. Can the parents have simply the incident report number of the incident logged in the TDSB Racism and Bias Hate Portal? And I think there's an executive superintendent here as well who might be able to answer that. Is that number, incident number, able to be shared with parents?
Through the chair, if I may, I think it would be important to bring this forward as a full conversation at your next meeting rather than me giving an impromptu response. I do know, though, specifically in terms of the question that was asked through the chair, is that identification number isn't shared. It's an internal document.
Okay, thank you. Who else is up? Yeah.
We have Zakira Patel.
Go ahead. What word is that? What word?
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's just a small comment. Thank you to Chair, Vice Chair, the Piac members. And I would really like to thank my Piac rep, both Musa and Sabnam, for representing Ward 19. Saying that, thank you, everyone. You guys have a wonderful summer. And thank you for amazing work Piac does. Thank you.
Thank you. And I would be remiss in not also giving a special thank you to Trustee Didovitas. Thank you for stepping up, or I shouldn't say step up, step forward or agreeing to be your trustee liaison. We really, really appreciate you, and you brought a different lens to this committee, and since you're new, and we thank you very much for your guidance and your support, both in front and behind the scenes as well.
Thank you, Sharon. Very kind of you.
Two more hands. Award 18? Is that what, Seema?
Those are
Hi,
And,
Ward
and that's
18
it
Seema here.
because Seema and because our members are gonna leave us if we
Yep,
if we
yep.
don't
I just
adjourn.
really wanted to,
Go
while
ahead. Go ahead.
Nicole Herbert's still on the call, I just want to give her a really big, massive thank you for keeping our Piac post alive and doing it all single-handedly. And I hope more of our Piac reps will support her because she's one person and she does it every month and spends countless hours. And without her, none of that engagement would be happening. So massive thanks to Nicole. Thank you.
Yes, I echo that as well. Is there a second? Yeah. Okay. One of the things, PCO, you have the summer to think about. I think you're going on vacation. Don't know when you're back, but when are we getting our administrative assistant? That's the only thing. Please bring us back on update. Or you have lots of work to do on your own.
Through you, Chair, I am also looking forward to getting your administrative assistant. It's just the hiring process, and we can't resume the process again until the fall. However, the previous staff is on leave, and I have to wait to ascertain what her plans are. And once we're clear of what her plans are and the way our system works, I will be be informed of that in July. And once I hear that in July, then I'll know what actions I'm able to take in September. But I do hope that your September meeting, I will not be the one sitting here.
Thank you. And just just because a lot of our reps keep asking, the next time when just explain, just be more transparent as to the actual process, because a lot of members are thinking that you're not really doing, but you don't realize the complexity, and so just explain.
Through your chair, I'll be clear. So the committee assistant is a unionized position of the board. And so we follow the bargaining guidelines around hiring. So the way it works is to simplify. I just say we have A, B, C, D groups. So A are groups that have been a part of the board, seniority staff. I must do a full hiring process with them first. If there's no successful candidate, only then am I getting the second round of our B applicants, and then I have to do a full process. And what I mean by that is I have to interview, I have to put in all the documentation, then say no. Our Peoples and Culture responds back to me, approves it, and then I get the second group. When I get the second group, I start the process again. If there's no one successful, I start the third group, and if there's no one successful, and it goes through 4 layers before I can go to external applicants. That's just the bargaining. That's just the bargaining agreements of hiring. And as it is a Union A position, I have to do that. And sometimes that process just takes time because it's not just solely up on me, it's up on the candidates as well, and our office. And so this year we did go through a full process. We offered the position to someone. They took a pick of it and then turned it down.
So you have to start it again, right?
So now we have to start it again. So you'll note when we started, we had someone, they left. So we started the process again. I offered it to someone. They took a look at the role and the function. Folks, this is not an easy position to fill. And it's not an easy position to fill because it's predominantly, you're expected to do full days and nights. Most of your meetings are evenings, but the committee's work, assistant work is during the day. So they have to do some work during the day. It's not just evening meetings. So we're trying to keep making the role more flexible, but it is a unionized position and we have to just follow that protocol.
Could I get a motion to adjourn this meeting? That would be Jen.
Second.
Oh, there we go. Have a fantastic summer, everybody.
So Ward 11 and Ward 19. Ward 11 move and Ward 19 second.
No. Good night, all. Thank you, Sharon.
Thank you. Thank you,
Have a great
team.
summer.
Appreciate you all.
Thank you, everyone.
Have a great
Have a good
summer.
night.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.